there'll be
very much. Well, that's happening in the international arena as well. Burnouts and people.
Live.
All right. Welcome to our show, our your favorite show, DCL PrimeTime. We have our analyst Viju who's back with all the color. I'm hoping that Viju is all well. He looks fairly trim. I think you've lost weight in the
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I
definitely
lost
look leaner.
10 pounds.
Yeah, you definitely look leaner. Yes, we could probably going to have KK join us a bit later, but we'll start off this week with the analysis of last weekend's games. Satya, if you want to start sharing your screen.
Yeah.
All right. And I think the first game of the week is Krcc versus the Slcc Guardians. If we go in the order we always do from the bottom up. And, I was following this game. This was a game which I think we all basically predicted one-sided. Eventually, I mean, if you look at the score, it looks very comfortable for Krcc. But at one point of time, Krcc were definitely in trouble at the start of their batting. They lost Yogesh, Jasneet, Tamim in quick succession. But Krcc bats so deep. When you have Omkar, a player like Omkar coming in at 9 and 10, you can just imagine the depth in their batting unit. And all of them are free scoring batsmen. So if they get going, they score in really quick succession. Krcc was able to put up a really decent score. And Slcc Guardians would be very disappointed after having a team like Krcc when you have Jasneet and Tamim and Hemant as well back in the pavilion, the 8th over for a score as near as 28. You definitely hope that you are able to control the score anything around the 100. But credit to Slcc Guardians. I think a lot of teams, including my own strikers, have faulted badly on the batting side when it comes to Krcc's attack. But Slcc Guardians, I think a rear guard action towards the end gave them that respectability. But if you look at the bowling analysis, I think Krcc took it a little easy. Tamim didn't bowl his full quota of overs, obviously giving chance to others like Mohammad Kashim, Mukul Monga bowled his quota of 4 overs. So definitely after the first few wickets which went down, Krcc always had this game in control. So, Krcc are definitely, as we've predicted, are going to be in the top 3 or 4 teams, and they are, getting their act together to make sure that happens. Viju, what do you say about this?
Yeah, Parthiv, good to be back on the show. Before I start off, I wanted to give a shout out to all the guests who had come and filled in for me as well as for Parthiv during unfortunately, both of us were out at the same time. But I thought they did a fabulous job, whether it was Nishant or Jitender. And then we had Chanakya Lokam come as this thing. I really wish I was on the show at that time because I really wanted to interview him, because when I heard that he had played or trained professionally and things like that, and he's able to conduct himself or convey his message very clearly, very articulate in that sense. And then we also had our Golimar, the man who is very, very accurate. You miss it, you're either bowled or LBW. I thought he did a fabulous job in that interview, even though he forgot that I was the guy who gave the feedback on how to get Mansab out. But by the end of the interview, he figured that it was me who gave this thing. But at least what it told me, Parthiv, is that these new teams were looking at the show, taking wisdom and advice from other guys when they run into this thing. Hey, somebody else has figured something out. And yes, our friend Mansab can sit on the show and say as much as he wants that he loves left-arm bowling and, it's a peach and a treat for him. I called him out on that day itself and I told him, if I was the skipper, I was going to give him plenty of generous left-arm spin to him. But it looks like they made that work, and they got Mansab's wicket early. But for everything which they did right, Parthiv, I think our friends made a mistake when they lost to Motor City, and that's probably going to cost them a playoff spot. And I think we will get to that towards the end of this segment, because this week we don't have any showcase game of the week because we didn't feel that any game deserved SGOW status. So we said rather than throw away the SGOW status on games which looked lopsided, we thought that we'll rather do this thing on what playoff chances are and what needs to happen. But coming to this game, I personally thought Hari Kurada did a fabulous job. Now, remember, Hari Kurada played for Glads until last year. I know him very well. I play with him fantasy football, a good friend of mine. But he had a fabulous outing. He took all the most important wickets on KRCC. The top Jasneet, Maulik, Tamim Oni, and Yogesh, he took them all out. So he had a fabulous thing. I also thought that Guardians did a fantastic job getting to 101 against this thing. But again, as you said, Parthiv, I think KRCC took it light. So in that sense, I think they had a pretty good outing. But I wanted to throw attention on this guy, Limbargi Swami. Again, we throw color on the thing. I've been watching this guy's performance, and he has been batting very well for Slcc Guardians. Guardians, a lot of things have not been going right. But one thing that has been going right has been Limbargi Swami has been having a fabulous season. I looked up his stats, Parthiv. He has scored 114 runs in 139 balls. In 139 balls, that's a 82 strike rate at an average of 22.8. 22.8 is a very, very healthy average in DCL, So if you ask me, Swami has been like a ruby, which is dazzling in the light right above the heart of the Miss Universe, you see. So he's been doing fabulous. Kurada got the big wickets, but Maulik had a fantastic game. I think KRCC were in a little bit of a bother, but Maulik came in and batted really well. He came lower down than he usually goes, but he had a very efficient outing, I thought. But let me ask you this question, Parthiv. Who is the best batsman on KRCC, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think I would say it's difficult.
You want to show him who they have on their team, Satya? Yeah, so they have a pretty big roster. Just look through that roster and tell me, in your opinion, who is their best batsman?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's their best batsman. I think I definitely feel like it's a toss up between Hemant and Maulik.
Okay.
I feel, but with the way they play and how destructive they are. But I think in terms of come playoff, I think Jasneet's batting is going to be a very key factor of how. I'm not sure as to how they're planning to utilize him. I know he generally comes as a finisher towards the end or to basically stem the flow of wickets. So Jasneet, I feel, is a utility true value person. But if you had just pick the batsman, I think Hemant and Maulik would be between them, it would be a toss up.
Okay. So while I have you on that, let me ask you, if every one of these people were available in the playoffs, and I'm sure every team, which is a good team, has, figuring out the playing 11 is a little bit of a challenge. It's always a challenge because if everybody becomes available, it is a problem. Let's assume for a moment that all these guys who have played 3 games are all available. What's your playing 11 for KRCC? Because again, this is one of the contenders for the cup. Just a quick this thing. All right. I mean, I'm just curious, and I'm trying to pick your brain on this. Anyway, since today we have more time, since we don't have the SGOW segment.
Right. So if everyone was available, I would definitely. Hemant, Maulik, Tamim. That makes it 3. Onkar, 4. I'm not very sure. I'll probably skip Shashank right now because I'm not sure how many batsmen I'll need. But then I'll come to Jasneet, who would be. I'm going through people who are short, and then I'll probably pick the one who are kind of iffy, one or the other. So 5, Jasneet would be my 5th. I think from the bowling side, if Mufassir is available, he would be definitely in. So that makes it 6. What did you do? Did you filter it? Oh, you're batting and bowling. Okay, 6. And then looking down the list, I think. Let me see. Can you go to the bowling? I want to see like who's been. Okay, 6.
Well, you have Tamim Moni and Mufassir, who's going to bowl 10 overs.
Right. Oh yeah, Ronak Patel, our magician. He would definitely be in my 11-7. That's then I would. Yeah, I'm impressed with Josh, but he hasn't been playing that much. But I would definitely think about getting him versus Satish Tyagi. I think Satish Tyagi, with all the experience he has, probably go with Satish Tyagi for now. That would make it 8. I mean, I know that's a difficult situation because if I were to pick, I wouldn't have included Yogesh, simply because not because I don't like him or but basically with the amount of talent they have, Yogesh doesn't fit just on talent. Maybe man management, if that is something which I think is lacking.
Yeah, but here is the problem, Partha. I mean, in the sense that if there is no Yogesh, there is no KRCC, right? I mean, in the sense that he's the guy who's putting the money, he's the guy who has bought the team out, he's the team owner, he's the captain. So it's like, that one spot, you probably have to give it to him. It's not the question of talent. The question is like, hey, what did I do all season long was not to come to the playoffs and for me to sit in the bench and be the bench cooler, cooling all the drinks and taking the drinks out into the field. He certainly didn't come for that, right? And he has been batting well towards the end, but I understand where you're coming from in the sense that if you or I had to pick the best 11, he probably is not there. But at the same time, this is DCL is all about man management, and a lot of most of the work is done behind the scenes off the cricket field. And so you know how much work goes into it. So at the end of the day, that guy probably has to be there no matter who else is playing or not playing, kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah, I agree to that fact because, last year KRCC was slightly different in terms of, you had Satish Gaba, who I think could fill up that slot.
But even then, Parthiv, I think Yogesh played all the games. So I give him credit for that in the sense that in fact, I think somebody asked him, he said, you can bet your every dollar that I am going to play the game. So I think it should be 1 plus 10 other spots. So the question is, who are the 10 other spots?
Yeah.
And then, I think you came to about 8 people. So I think you have 2 more spots to go. Assuming Yogesh is one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Yogesh would be 9. Rayan would be my number 10. And then I would go with, since I haven't seen a lot about these Bangladeshi players, so I'm a little short on that. But one of these guys have to make through for them to come through, and especially around the bowling. So between Lingen and Momin Ali, I think that would be a toss-up.
I don't see Munir. Why I don't see Munir?
He hasn't played a single game. That's why.
But
Munir is very difficult to get a hold of, Satya, in the sense that I think he travels a lot to New York and things like that. So, and as far as I know, he didn't play any game. So I think that's the reason you don't see him there. This is all the list of players who have played.
Yeah, I saw only in other tournaments, not in DCL, I think.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so let's move on.
That will be my 11.
Okay, sounds good. I just was trying to pick your brain.
But yeah, it's going to be really difficult to actually select those 11 players for KRCC. It's going to be a nightmare for Yogesh. All right, our next game was a heavily scoring Raptors, as we've all seen. Raptors have been, and even every so often they call themselves a bowling unit. I think their batting dominates the scene so much that their bowling doesn't feel like they're dominating that much. But they always get their work done. I know Kiran was on our show, and he was adamant as well that people talk a lot about Raptors batting, but they are primarily a bowling unit. And time and time again, if you look at the scorecards, they have beaten teams, big margins. And partly is because you have the scoreboard pressure, but also because they have now started to, have a fairly disciplined bowling unit. With the likes of Sai Manoj, Kiran himself, and Armendra Bahubali, they have a pretty stable unit. And what's good in this game is, even though our top scorer, Armendra, failed, it was between Sandeep and Kiran getting a fabulous 50, and the one player that we've been waiting to call out or shout out, and I know Raptors have been going gaga over him, are Gagan Singh. He's been coming to the fore as well. Last few innings, he's been bowling and contributing with the bat itself. And in this game too, his 41, a quick 41 with 4 big hits, a strike rate of almost 250. He basically made sure Spartans were out of the game. And with when you're chasing that 166, it's always going to be difficult. There were some good contributions from Chanakya. You mentioned about him. He was basically the standout performer. Apart from him, little and small contributions from a couple of people, but nothing of significance. So all in all, a very, very comprehensive victory for Raptors, and they're looking good to challenge the top spot, or maybe not at the top, but the top 4 spots. So it's going to be between Glads and GLCC and KRCC and Raptors and Thunders. These are the 5 we think that they're going to go to the top 5 spots, and maybe it interchanges in between the 2. But Raptors look good to seal that top 5 spot, have it in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, didn't KRCC lose 2 games? So my feeling is their chance at the top spot is already out of the question, as far as I know. I mean, that's just that's my this thing. But coming to this, Parthiv, in 2018 when I came back to India, actually. Within a month of me coming down here, I had a cousin who was about 5 years younger than me, and he was in Hyderabad, and he died of a heart attack. So I actually caught the next flight and went for the funeral. So when I landed, now remember, I stayed in Hyderabad for about when I was very young. So maybe I must have left there around probably around 11 or 12 or something like that. So I haven't been back there since then. So the thing is that this was the first time I landed at the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, and then I was going to catch an Uber, and then I saw this bus out there, and I felt very, felt like trying something new. So I said, you know what, let me take this bus and see where it goes, because I knew the funeral was later in the evening, and I'd already landed in the morning. So I took the bus. Long story short, I landed in Secunderabad. And I wanted to get to the train station, and I knew that the train station was very close to where the bus had stopped me, just from my old recollections of that place. And, I look like a fish out of water, and, anybody can figure out this guy's not local. So I have this auto guy who comes and says, hey, where do you want to go? I said, yeah, I want to go to the train station. So he said, well, get in, I'll drop you. I said, okay, how much is it going to cost me? So he said, it's just 100 rupees. I said, all right. But then I knew that, sometimes somebody is trying to hoodwink you, and I'm not that easy to hoodwink. So I said, that's fine. Let me just walk, because I just wanted to walk anyways. So I walk, and I don't know, maybe I would have walked about 15 yards, and he stops me and says, sir, I'll take you for 80 rupees. I still say, that's okay. And I still continue. And long behold, another 15 yards, and it comes down to 50 rupees. All right. So I still don't know how far away it is, but it's just this old recollection that it's somewhere close by. So I still say, nope, it's, I just wanted to walk. And I said, that's okay. This thing. I walk for some more time, another 15 yards or something like that. And the guy drops it down to 20 rupees. At this point, you're very, at this point, from 100, he has come down to 20. At this point, I'm very tempted to get into that auto, you see. But again, this curiosity factor, I like to get to the bottom of the thing. I said, no, that's okay. I walked just another 15 yards and I was right in front of the train station. All right. So long story short, I made it there. And so why did I bring this up? I brought this up, Partha, because I want to ask you a question. Is the word FOOL written on my cap or something like that?
No way.
No, right? No, right? Because, our friend Kiran Boinapalli came on the show on, I think it was on July 6th, all right? And he did a fantastic hoodwink job, okay? This hustle job of hoodwinking. And you might ask, what is this hoodwinking which he was doing? Because let me repeat the exact words which he said. He told us, I myself know that I can bat a bit. Now, I remember, Partha, I do not know if you were there on that show. I think you were there on that show. But I vehemently objected to that nonsense, okay? This ludicrous nonsense which he was peddling our way, I straight away objected and I said, no, I think it's a lot more than a bit. I don't buy that, But anyway, coming to this game, the guy has scored 52 out of 59 balls. The guy who can bat a little bit. You get my point? But we told you, the guy has been going up the order whenever he has gone opening or 1 down or 2 down. Whenever he has gone up the order, more. I can see numerous games where he has scored big runs, huge, crucial runs. And for that guy to come and tell us that he can bat a bit, I thought was absolutely ridiculous because, 33% of that 165 runs which they scored came from Kiran Boinapalli itself, So I don't know what dictionary he's using because the bit word, he seems to have lost the meaning of that. What does that stand for? Because he certainly is listening. But I do not know. A friend of mine had sent some time ago a video. Partha, you might have heard this because I think in Hindi also they had the CT Mar song, all right?
Yes.
I think Salman Khan acted in it or something like that. But I think the original is from a Telugu movie, which is what was sent to me. And I remember asking that guy, hey, what are these lines? Because I was trying to figure out if I can use one of the lines in one of our shows, because when I present it. Anyway, so the thing is, in that song, I'm talking about the Telugu version, Partha, and you and I probably do not understand it. What I was given to understand is, it goes this way. NTR, ANR, Megastar, Ninne Chuste Visile Star. Something like that, all right? CT Mar, all right? Now, you will ask me why I brought that up, because our friend Amarendra Nuwala, I'm going to truncate his name, and I'm going to make it Aman. In this game, it was Aman, Gagan, and Kiran, all the N's, all right? They got together, and they were doing this Ninne Chuste Visle Star kind of a thing. CT Mar. They absolutely stole the show. They were the three amigos in the show, and they had a fabulous outing. Going to the Spartans, I thought when Chanakya Lokam came on the show, extremely good at conversation, and I really liked the quality of his English. He reminded me of another player the Blues had. At that time, they were called the Blues, and at that time, I don't think Chanakya Lokam was playing on that team. But they had a guy, I believe his name was Chandan Damagiri. I could be wrong about the last name, but I know his first name was Chandan. For some reason, I want to say his last name was Damagiri or something like that. But I had tremendous respect for his ability to hold a conversation and the quality of his English. I felt the same way when I listened to Chanakya Lokam when he came on the show. So CL, Chanakya Lokam, and Chandan Damagiri CD, both those guys impressed me with the way in which they were, because most of the times when you see many of the Indian guys or people from the subcontinent, they are not able to hold a conversation for a long time or even a sentence without making plenty of grammatical snafus, But here was a person where I felt, a lot of respect in the sense that the guy looks to be a very, very smart guy off the field too. And obviously, as a cricketer, he caught my attention last year itself with the tremendous innings. And in this game, again, he had outstanding innings. But the problem is when they gave up 166 runs, right there, the Spartans bowling committed a boondoggle of gargantuan proportions. That was the problem. But let's give them credit. Raptors were made to bowl the entire 25 overs. I have a curiosity, Parthiv. I wonder if Chanakya did this deliberately because every run added adds to your net run rate. All right. So if I think if you're Chanakya Lokam, if I'm in Chanakya Lokam's shoes, I'm always thinking, hey, it's going to come down to decimal points if the points are all tied and things like that. So they are going to be in a fight for the playoff spots, as we are going to look later on. But my question is, if the points are tied and if it is between two pools, obviously NRR comes into the equation. And I wonder if this reason to stretch it out and bat all 25 overs, if that was the reasoning behind it, and if that was the reasoning behind it, I have to say it was a genius boom by Chanakya Lokam and the rest of this thing, because at no point of time did it ever look that Spartans were ever going to even get the bonus point in this game. But they waited and waited and waited and batted all 25 overs and milked every little run that they could get. So I just wanted to say, hey, fantastic effort by the Spartans. I mean, we knew the outcome, but I think congrats to Raptors and hard luck, Spartans.
Yeah, to add to that, yeah, you're absolutely right. The three N's, which you talked about, Gagan, Kiran, and Aman, all of them have been, the three N's have been really dominating for Raptors. And I think that's going to be the key going into the playoff games. I think their performance is going to dictate. And if they can, between them, perform those last four games, that's going to be key, because, time after time, we've seen that something which has affected Raptors is come playoffs, suddenly their middle order and lower middle order suddenly gets tested. And that's where they kind of,
Parthiv, let me ask you a question. You're the strikers captain. If you could take only one player out of the Raptors lineup, who is that player you would take?
I would basically take Pradeep Pota out of Raptors if I had to choose one player.
Okay.
And this is because of his playoff performance. And I know that he hasn't played much last couple of seasons. He's been in and out. He's just made sure he qualifies and gets enough match practice. But come playoffs, if I had to choose one player, I think it would be Pota.
Okay, because I do not know if you notice in this game, the Sri Teja Gudur, the guy who holds the DCL record for the highest run scored ever in a DCL game. I think it is 137. Yeah, he played his first game. He was supposed to play the Indus Thunders game according to what Kiran told on our show, but somehow he didn't make it for that game. But he did show up for this game, and he did play in this game. So,
and I think the reason why I choose Butta is basically because come playoffs, you're not going to get teams with which lack like the fourth and fifth bowler. You're going to get teams which have fairly decent bowling units. So it's not going to be those heavy scorers that are going to find those bowlers where they can easily whack them over the fence. It's going to be how temperamentally you're strong. So I think that's the reason go with Pota in this case. But I think a close second would be Gagan. I think the reason Gagan is, and if you see, Gagan has climbed up the batting charts in the last few weeks. Just incredible of how he's climbed up. So he's a strong front runner as well to get in the side.
So surprising that you didn't put the number 2 batsman in the entire league, Amarendra Nuwala, on your top 2 list.
If it were me, all three of them would be in my team. But
but you have only one choice, right? So that's why I gave you only one choice. That's why we make it interesting. You have only one choice, and you had to pick one guy whom you would add to the strikers team. So that's why I was curious.
Cool. The next game was a pretty tight contest. I had the privilege of umpiring this game, and right from the get-go, when Pokhris won the toss and elected to bat, I was, as an umpire, I wasn't expecting Dynamites to, hold Pokris to 99. I was expecting, Pokris would have a field day, get something around the 130, 140 mark, and then, Dynamites would fold. But that wasn't the case. Dynamites were definitely a lot. I felt that they were hungry. They were playing as a unit. Even though they had their chances and didn't capitalize, and I think that's basically something which I think Vijay would agree with me, that they're still in that kind of resurrection phase where they're still bringing the team together. But I think that the team that he has is definitely on the right track, because I felt like apart from Neil, they had most of their batsmen in check, and it was fairly very, very disciplined bowling. Apart from maybe Arun, who basically gave away a few extras, it was a very, very disciplined bowling from Dynamites. And when it came to the batting, they had the game almost till probably the sixth wicket or seventh wicket, where it was around 5 for 60, and they needed, they had 6 or 7 overs, and they needed another 30 runs. So it was still, they had wickets in hand, they had batsmen who could reach them there. And I think I was expecting Arun, he's a big hitter, so I was expecting him to come in and maybe ease the run rate, the required run rate. And he started off really well. First ball he faced, he slammed it for a 6. But then he got one that we call it as the DCL ball, one that really keeps low, kisses the surface and never gets up. And unfortunately, he was bowled. But the game could have gone either way. So I was really impressed with Dynamites. They got the bonus point, which is going to be another one which Pokris, in their overall tally will definitely impact them. Not so much on the Dynamite side. I think this season is more going to be, how much they can impress. But a great innings from Neil. I think he was very patient with even the wickets falling around him. He stood his fort and made sure that Pokris were able to at least get some respectability. But to your point, when I saw you talking about Avi, that was another one. We were having some conversation during that, and I was waiting for him to show up, but he didn't show up until it was the last wicket. So it was, and then when he showed up, he had those 2 balls where he hit, both of them were crisp hits. One, eventually he got out, caught in the deep. But I definitely feel, he doesn't deserve a number 11 position. So something has to get communicated to Ravi that, he definitely needs more chances up front. So unfortunate that he wasn't utilized, but I guess, his time will come, his day will come when Pokris will need it.
Yeah, I mean, Parthav, I agree with you. Actually, when I saw that Ravi, I actually watched this game. I didn't watch the game. I mean, I was looking at the scorecard and I saw the Pokris 11 and I saw Ravi Narala was not there in the 11. And so immediately I saw Avinash Raghu is in the 11 and I said, okay, definitely Avinash Raghu is getting an opportunity today and he is going to be batting up the order. And long behold, I see that he comes at 11 spot and he has 2 balls left in the game. The very first ball he hit for a 2 and the second ball, I mean, he had to go for it. I mean, he got caught at the boundary. I mean, in the sense that you can't do anything better than that. For all you know, by the way, was that a possibility that was a 6? Because
that
what I heard was that the fielder first signaled 6 and then said, no, it's out caught. Is that
true?
So
that was true. He did signal 6 because I think he was under the impression there was a line, there was a marker that went across. I think the previous baseball game must have drawn through it, and then there were cones, which were basically our DCL match cones. And I think he was confused between the two. He thought that the line was the boundary and not the cone. So when he saw the ball saw the fielder go beyond that line which was drawn, he thought that he was past the boundary. But it was well within the field when he caught the ball.
Okay. But coming to this, I think Neil was fabulous in this game. I feel that if we go back and look at the number of games Neil has single-handedly won Pokeries ever since he left Bulls and joined Pokeries, I think it's an astounding number, because Neil has really been performing lights out, not just this year, but in the past seasons too, where he has actually come and performed very well. Even when everybody else doesn't seem to perform, he seems to perform. I still think Sharan is their best batsman by a mile, because Parthiv, this guy, if you drop the wrong ball, he has such a good hook shot over deep backward square leg. It's unbelievable. The ball will effortlessly sail right over that deep backward square leg. Now, anybody wanting pointers on how to what to do when you play Pokeries, absolutely have your best fielder at deep backward square leg. I mean, sure enough, we put Naeem Afridi on the this thing because Naeem doesn't drop a catch, because we know when Saran comes, that's where it's going, you know. But even though you know it is going there, you're pretty helpless when the ball is sailing right over your head, well over your head, you know. So he's a fabulous ad, and I think he's their best ad. But Neil is a close second. I mean, in the sense that Neil has won so many great games for them, and this was another game where he single-handedly won the game for them. But I want to say exactly what you said. I thought the Dynamite's bowling was fabulous. Anytime you can limit Pokeries under 100, that's a fantastic thing. Even Glatch couldn't stop the under 100. So I thought the Dynamite's bowling was fantastic. I think the captaincy was very good. They used the bowlers well. This time, at least, the bowlers who deserved to need to bowl was bowling here. But I think it is the top four in the Dynamites where the problem is. Not much production came from the top four in the Dynamites, especially that guy named Vijay Kumar Gabriel. I was expecting a lot more. Now, I remember the first wicket that fell and Gabriel was still batting with Arun Swaminathan at that point of time. And remember, I texted that if Dynamites get another 20-30 runs, at that point it was, 15 for 1. And I said that if they can get to 40 with the just loss of 1 wicket, I think then this game becomes an entirely different ball game. But unfortunately, that never happened for Dynamites. The Pokeries broke through, and the next thing you know, they won the game. So Dynamite's batting is the one which let them down in this game. But I think their bowling was fabulous in this game. Even with a little bit of extras which was given, I still think that the very fact that they got a bonus from Pokeries, and that's going to affect the Pokeries position, because I think there's going to be a lot of teams in that 40 to 45 range, and Pokeries is headed right into that range of 40 to 45 points, and you're probably going to see a lot of teams going up and down there.
So I had a counter question for you. If there was one player from Pokeries you would have in your Glad's team, who would it be? I know you've talked about Avi, but who would it be?
I mean, if I can get only one player, definitely Saran, for sure. Because at this point, hands down, pants down, hats down, whatever down you want to take, he's their best player by a mile. And Glads has a problem on the opening. We keep cycling through openers and things like that. We still haven't found, 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. We seem to have a pretty good idea of who we want to go. But in the opening spot, when Shan is there, Shan plays. But, his partner, we keep varying. We still haven't found the right combination. Of course, availability is one issue. But even then, we don't have a clear this thing. But Avi is a guy who can stay at the wicket. So it would be a guy for me. I've always coveted people who can stay at the wicket, because one of the key things is this is a 25-over game, not a 20-over game, not a 15-over game. You need to be able to stay at the wicket. And very often the teams which bat 25 overs usually win that game, But coming to the question, yes, Saran for sure, without a doubt.
If I was asked this question, I would take Vignesh. I think he's one of my favorite players in DCL, and he's one of he along with probably I've seen Raza Ali, and then there's another player, I forget his name, but they utilize the two fans so well, and Ajit from GLCC. they are like robots. Anything you pitch outside the off stump, slightly short, and they can basically all day keep whacking you over the fence. And the kind of brain he has, Vignesh, with his all round capabilities, I think last couple of seasons he's been kind of a shadow of himself, not at the mark which I've seen him play, and I'm pretty sure Ravi wants him to play. But come playoffs, I think he's definitely one guy I'll be looking for if Pokris have to go far.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask you this question: Saran versus since I picked Saran and you picked Vignesh, on the bowling department, who's the better bowler?
For me, I think it's Vignesh because of the variation.
Satya, is there a way to compare their bowling stats?
As I said, this year may not.
Parthav, I think what you rightly said, Vignesh of 4-5 years ago was a different quality player from the Vignesh which we are seeing right now.
Right.
Yes, I know that he had recently a good game, but if you look at the last couple of seasons, somehow I find it very difficult to justify that high standing which Vignesh commands, which is based on 5 years ago where he was a fabulous player, where every shot was going, as you said, right on the off stump. So coming back, what is Saran's stats here on the bowling end? So he's got what? How many wickets has he got? 11 wickets?
Yeah.
11 versus
at an
8.
average of 7.36. And what is our friend?
8 with 7.38.
Okay, so at this point we are nitpicking. It's not much of a difference.
Economy,
but again,
little over 2.75.
Okay, so Saran definitely has the edge economy, but it's on the batting end where I really feel that. Again, I am answering the question from the Glad's perspective, where again we would love to have a fantastic opener open the batting like how Saran does. So. I think for me, I'm talking from a striker's perspective. I think we need like people like Vignesh who have been there, done that, handle the playoff pressure. So I think that's why I think I probably pick Vignesh. And same thing, my pick for Pradeep as well. All right. So anyway, so this is good. I mean, this is a good discussion we have going here. Again, different perspectives. No one right answer, but it's all a question of perspective and also team need, actually. Again, because you're answering from striker's perspective and I'm answering from a Glad's perspective.
Pokris can give everybody, it will be great.
What is that again? Pokris what?
If Pokris can give all these players, will be great.
Oh, Pokris. Then what is Ravi Narala going to do? I mean, he probably will turn the ocean into with his fury. You might have a tsunami of wrath coming your way. Satya. Already, I don't think he's too thrilled with you because you took the game away from him last week. You see, so he's already not too happy to see your face, I'm pretty sure.
One of the questions somebody from my team had asked me a year ago, or maybe this year, was, if we had an IPL style auction, who would that person be? Who would that player be? Which would be, the number one pick would go, like people would break their bank for, who would that one person be? And I had no answer because there's so many players and so many things to consider, but I basically thought, this would be an interesting question we might want to talk about in our show. Maybe give.
It would. I would say Arjun. He gets every department. You will get benefited on every department on Arjun. So.
I'm sure Arjun is, to the top contender or one of the top contenders. But I'm guessing that at least 3 or 4 people who you would be.
And again, Parthav, I think to answer that question, I think we need to spend some time sitting and thinking over it and poring over the stats for the last 3-4 years, and then take all the intangibles and the tangibles, and then come out with our own model. And again, I think it'll be very interesting. I mean, if I had an unlimited budget and you had an unlimited budget, who we would go after, it might be worthwhile to conduct that show for deciding a DCL all playing 11 or something like that, with a ranking based on.
We'll create for you three guys, give you some budget and we'll auction players.
Yeah, we can do that.
We can totally do that. Yeah.
Probably at the end of the regular season.
Biju's 11, Parthi's 11, and KK's 11
KK's 11.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If we had $1 million to spend.
Yeah.
Our players will say that $1 million won't even buy them peanuts. They need to feed their family, man. I need to feed my kids. I need to send them to college. All kinds of answers. We probably need $100 million budget because our players think that they are not inferior to any other player out there.
Yeah.
And of course, DCL is the premier T-ball league. If it's the premier T-ball league, we've got to play these players some good moolah, I think.
Yeah, and apart from obviously the batting and bowling skills, I think one factor which is also plays in IPL as well is the availability. I think that is going to be, who can give you 12 games as compared to let's say 4 or 5 games. So,
but I think when we have to, I think it'll be a very interesting discussion. Yeah, and it'll be an interesting topic to consider. I think whoever came up with this question to you, he did us a world of good by giving that suggestion out. I think, I'm intrigued by it.
All right, let's go on to the next game. The next game was an upset of sorts. I think we all picked SSK. I don't know if I remember correctly. I think we all picked SSK.
Yes.
And it was an upset on the cards. And this definitely, this game, along with the game I think which happened Tuesday, definitely has those ingredients to topple Pool B, which is still under flux. The 4th and 5th position are still being worked out between Stingers and SSK and Bulls and local boys and Hitmen too. I wouldn't put them completely out as yet, and Patriots obviously. We called our we shouldn't forget Patriots. I think their resurgence lately has definitely put them as heavy favorites to get that 5th spot. But this game here definitely impacted SSK's chances. I know we were going back and forth on WhatsApp that they basically, they miss out on the playoff spot. They have only themselves to blame because this was a game which I'm pretty sure SSK at the start of the season would have counted in their win column with all the 5 bonus points. But the way cricket goes, it actually worked the other way around where they lost all the 5 points, not even a bonus point. So that was something that I think was a tactical mistake from SSK. I think, they could have at least, at the lower middle order, I don't know whether they knew about it or was it communicated, but they should have at least secured the bonus point. I'll have to check. We'll have to check and figure out as to how much they missed the bonus point by, but another 10 to 12 runs that would have made at least their a bonus point, which is going to be very key in this Pool B. But coming to the game itself, I think it was a very low scoring game. Stingers didn't get the batting going. I think there were some couple of contributions and the extras. I think SSK would be very, very unhappy with the SSK captain would be very unhappy with the bowling, especially. I'm not sure what happened to Manjunath that day. 12 wides and a no ball. That is just inexcusable in anybody's books. Those 23 runs, if you remove those, SSK would have been looking at a 60-70 score in place of the 88. And coming to SSK's batting, apart from Vinod, who stood there pretty much controlling the innings almost to the halfway, nobody really put their hand up. Late contribution by Priyesh at the bottom, but that was not going to be enough. But credit to Stingers bowling. I think they were, I was watching their games on the side. They had very, very disciplined bowling bowling. They used, I think, a different combination in this game. They didn't have like Chelam bowl out. Generally he bowls more than an over, but it was between Sujay and the experience of Gagan and Sajan. All 3 of them, made sure that they bowled not only just accurately, but they got wickets on timely intervals. And I again want to reiterate that SSK would be, if they miss the playoff spot, would be looking at this game and wondering what it could have been.
Yeah, Parthiv, I think both the Hawks are going to look at that Motor City game, and then SSK is going to look at this game, because this was a very disappointing game by SSK. The answer to question is how much did SSK need to get to that bonus point? It would be about 76 runs is what they need to get to. So they would have had to get to 76 to get that bonus point. But here is the problem, Parthiv. Out of the 65 runs, if you really look at it, only 58 runs came off the bat, well, and that is from two batsmen, you see. 58 came off the bat, and 40 of that came from two batsmen, which is Vinod and Priyesh. Everybody else, they shouldn't call themselves batsmen. This is you're disgracing the word batsman, because this is not batting. The rest of they need to start calling themselves book cricketers. It's one thing for Lingappan to go out and say, hey, this year we want to control our own narrative, and we want to make sure that we finish the game, and we are going to make the playoffs, and we are not going to depend on other people's kindness and mercy and results to decide whether we make the playoffs. So this is a very poor way to back up that statement, because this is throws water on everything which you have been saying, because this is a outright ridiculous performance when only two of your batsmen are batting and everybody else is, just coming there and taking a walk back to the pavilion. If you ask me, Chellam, Ayavu and extras, one stingers the game. If you go back to the stingers batting, you just look at Chellam, Ayavu's contribution and then the number of extras, 23. You see, you add those two things, and if you can even make those extras into like 6 or 7, and if you had got Chellam for 0, that itself would have saved you about 35, 36 runs, and that itself is the ball game, because even 65, you would have still won the game. So you couldn't get rid of Chellam, and then you made sure your extras was the number one scorer in that lineup. So I think SSK is going to go back, and they have nobody to blame other than themselves. Sometimes it's important for us to be honest. If you want to improve, if you are not your own biggest critic, you have a problem. Because if you just want to hear, oh, he's good, no, that's not going to make you better. If you really want to get good, go back, sit at the drawing board, admit what are the problems which you're facing and how are you going to tackle that, and what's the plan of action, and be disciplined about it and be tough on yourself. That's the only way to improve.
Well, absolutely right. I think SSK have to really introspect. But on this, the silver lining they have is that between the Detroit Bulls and local boys, I think they have probably the easiest of the draws because they've already played KRCC, they've already played GLCC. So they have a slightly better draw. But again, they'll have to win all the games to make sure, or at least
yeah, but here is the problem. They have only 19 points, and they have strikers, hitmen, and patriots. Out of that, I can only kind of give patriots to them. I don't think strikers is a win in their column. At this point of time, I would say 70-30 in favor of strikers. And with regards to patriots, well, patriots of late have been playing well, so that's probably going to be a toss-up game. And if you ask me, SSK versus Patriots is my number one game, which is going to decide the deal breaker as to who makes the playoffs. So I'm sure SSK is watching, or they'll be watching later in the show. And Patriots guys, I'm sure somebody is going to be watching and they'll get the news out. But SSK versus Patriots in the future, that game is the single most important game. And the other game which I can think of is Legends versus Safaris. That is another game which is going to be a deal breaker of a game for one of those two teams. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to the playoff contention part of it. But let's move on to, what's that? Motor City versus Thunders, where the Thunders did all kinds of magic to see how they can lose the game. And then two of their bowlers turned into batsmen.
Yep, it was a very, very, I would say, the lack of better words, a really, really entertaining and funny how Thunders were making sure to make a game out of it, out of nowhere. So I think this is the trend which I've seen Thunders, and I think the reason why they do it is because of the deep squad they have. So in order to make everyone happy, they always, have these couple of matches where they take chances, especially against new young teams in DCL, where they bring along, their veterans. So in this 11, if you see, you had, my friend Azim come here.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question, Parthiv. Isn't Azim a bowler?
He is, but I don't think he's no longer with that fitness, which I think he can bowl. So I think that might be the criteria where
because they utilized him as a batsman here, and they didn't give him the chance to bowl even one ball. But the Azim that I knew was in his prime, and later even after his prime, his balls have a habit of keeping low, with that very funny run up which he comes in. His balls rarely rise up too much.
We call him the Scorpion. The way he runs.
I was wondering how to describe it, but the word Scorpion sounds about right. But yeah, with that funny run up and things like that, he looks very innocent, but he turns out to be pretty deadly. And I've seen so many games where he has picked so many wickets because the DCL ground is ideally suited for his style of bowling, where that ball keeps low and shoots in and things like that. And he has picked so many wickets. So I was stunned when I saw that, Azim played. And I'm happy to see Azim play because I like to see some of these old timers play. They, after all, created the team, and they deserve every opportunity which comes their way. And but I see that he played as a batsman, and I was like, okay, I didn't. Azim was not necessarily a primetime batsman for me, but I always looked at him more as a primetime bowler. But again, as you said, I do not know what their level of fitness is right now. So.
Yeah, he definitely is past his prime in terms of fitness, I would say. So I think that would be one of the criteria going into the game, where he was basically just coming in to enjoy the game. And I think, as I mentioned, Indus Thunders do this every once in a while to give everyone a game or two, and then they take those calculated risks to make sure that they don't end up losing too many games. So even a game before that, I think against Canton 11, I think that was a close game where again they experimented with their batting and bowling. In this case, they've experimented with their 11. But I think one refreshing part of this game was the way Devesh, and he's a very, I think he's a brand new newcomer. And I was towards the end of the game. I was at the ground and I was watching him. He definitely didn't look like a number 11. I think it was because of his newness and his novice entry into DCL that he was put down at 11. But I'm pretty sure now that Srikanth and Sandeep have seen him, he would definitely be playing higher up the order because he looked very much a batsman. Definitely not a number 11, and the way he carried the bat through along with Jalaj towards the end, it didn't feel like tailenders trying to win the game by hook or crook or just get a.
I think Parthiv is frozen, I guess.
Yeah.
So all right. Just to continue on that, he didn't touch upon Sri Harsha, but this guy must be some phenomenal bowler because Satya, his stats were 2.4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 runs, and 4 wickets. That is some phenomenal this thing. But I think Jalaj and Devesh saved the Thunders, and not just saved the Thunders and got them a win, actually got them the bonus point too. So, but when you are the champs, you can afford to make all these kind of changes. And hey, who are we to criticize when they even got the bonus point in this game? But I think Motor City almost played spoil sport for the second time. They already played spoil sport when they, with regards to the Hawks' joy, they made sure that the Hawks were drinking beer from the Hawks playoff jug, So they drank all that beer which the Hawks were planning to drink. And so here in this game, they almost created a shock upset. And if Indus Thunders had lost, I think many of us would have been pretty upset. I think they would have got a pretty big speech from me, Satya, about losing such kind of irresponsible games. Because this, what it does is when they drop down in the position, they create problems for other teams where you have to play Indus Thunders in round 1 or round 2 and things like that. And that's not the team which you're looking to play in the playoffs, right, in round 1 or round 2. I mean, you meet them in the finals, that's one thing, or even semi-finals is one thing. But you certainly are hoping that, a top team like that, you don't want to play them right in the beginning kind of a thing. But I think when I look at this guy, Dinesh Ravi, he's been phenomenal in the last 2 games, Satya. I'm not sure why we did not consider him for game changer of the week status. Again, I did not vote because I was suffering from COVID, so I really didn't pay attention to anything, and I did not vote. But in that last game, Satya, this guy, he really put the supari on these guys from Hawks, because he single-handedly scored 49 not out of 66 runs. And on top of that, he took 2 wickets too. So he was the lone guy which helped that Motor City to beat Hawks, because he's the one guy who stood there. He went opening, waited till the very end. I think 8 wickets or 9 wickets fell, and he managed to take them to win. So I am sorry that he didn't get the game changer of the week. But for me, when I looked at it, I thought that was a phenomenal effort by him to win that game against Motor City. Look at that, Motor City versus Hawks, 49. You look at that, what was that, 7 wickets or 6 wickets fell, and he's the single-handed this thing out of 66 runs. So if he was not there, Motor City would have been toast. So and he took 2 wickets. That's why I was surprised that we didn't even consider him for game changer of the week. But I just saw that stat today, and I thought he deserves all the credit, because even in this game, he was the one guy who bowled very well and batted very well. So all credit to Motor City. They have done quite well.
And also, there is one thing, he attempts all this man-kid every game, and in this game too, he did like multiple times, not one time. So nowadays man-kid is getting more on
popular, but I have no sympathy for the guy who is man-cadded, because I don't care. They can cry from every rooftop. Who asked you to leave the crease before the bowler delivered the ball? You have no right. Absolutely, you're cheating. If that is the case, why don't you stand at the middle of the pitch? Why bother to take 2 steps out of the crease? You stand at the middle of the pitch because you just want to steal the run at any cost. So I feel man-cut is a very legitimate way to get a person out, because you're trying to take advantage of the bowler, and the bowler is not there to be taken advantage of.
No, the problem is the frequency of.
Can you guys hear me?
So yes.
Okay.
So he tries almost every over 3 times, and kind of like he stops and tries. That's what it like.
Satya, he wouldn't try if you were standing in the crease. Trust me, if I'm the non-striker, he will never try it even once, because I never leave the crease.
What was funny, I think last week when we were talking, there were 2 Mankards, and I think I had asked the team that was batting, and I don't remember which it was, but I had asked them, like,
Hawks.
Hawks. Okay. Yeah. So I'd asked them, like, you have 1 Mankad in a game, and that basically should spook up everyone to not basically get out of the crease. But when you have another one happen, that is just foolish. Like,
that was a different team, I think, but it's getting popular nowadays, so it's getting more.
All right. Well, ever since
if you are also out, okay. So the next game is Detroit Badshahs versus FCC. So it was an easy game for FCC, I would say, but Umar Tahir made sure, scoring that 68 runs of 75 balls. He stood all the way, almost till the end. I think, he's not out there. But the Detroit Badshahs, they have a good unit, but I don't see everybody showing up. I think Alisan Bhai has to keep having their best players intact. because every game is important. They have to get their good players. Viju, Parthiv is stuck again, so I'm just going through this. So it was a
Right.
single man show. Umar Tahir, who scored 68 runs, and bowling end, IFCC tried almost most of them. So they were trying their bowling options. I think in this game they had Avila, Shashank, Shiva, Hitesh. Like, yeah, these are all good bowlers, so they can try. But when it comes to batting, the FCC really have these two guys they stole from Marcos. They're really doing good in the top, Satish and Pratik. And with that, Hitesh and Nishant itself, Shashank, they have a good batting unit this season. So I think FCC is not like last year. This year is totally a different team, I would say. So,
I thought Umar Tahir had a fantastic and phenomenal game. I think Alishan has to back up the order. I think in the show before I had said that, what is that? Shavar Abadat is Alishan's brother's son. And but the thing is that, sometimes Satya, yeah, I know blood is thicker than water, but at the end of the day, you're the skipper of the team and your job is to win the game. And that's your number one goal as a skipper, not to be somebody's friend, not to be somebody's relatives, not to be somebody's uncle. Because if you ask me, the reason I said that is Alishan has to bowl all 5 overs. He did not bowl 5 overs. He should be batting way ahead of Shavar and people like that, because he is a pretty good batsman. And in this game, he was 17 not out. I mean, my point is that you batted the 25 overs. If he had batted way ahead of some of these spots, your team would have been in a better situation. So I think Alishan has to take emotion out of the equation and forget about blood, because you're playing a cricket game and you play the game to win the game. But Ahmed Kazim, that guy, if I'm not mistaken, this is the same Ahmed Kazim who used to play for Brownstown. And that guy was a phenomenal batsman. So he has not been produced. He didn't produce in this game, and he's been kind of hit or miss. But for the kind of talent he has, I expect a lot more production from Ahmed Kazim in order for Badshahs to make some noise. But I think Badshah at this point is a team which can shock people, especially if they have their full unit. And we saw that they played Spartans and shocked Spartans. So, but when I look at FCC, look at the balanced batting. It is fantastic. Let me ask you a question, Satya. I wanted to ask Partha the same question. The question is this the best FCC team we have seen so far over all these years?
I would say yes. So they have a balance.
Now remember at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't have put FCC in the top 16. Forget it. I wouldn't even have put them in the top 20, because remember, we talked about Tejas Chategowda leaving. We talked about Vadala and the Falcons. Many of those guys moving away, and we said Pana is not playing, and we said, who does FCC have? Now, at that point, none of us knew the answers, but clearly the Gaudas and the Shatambis and Uma Shankars, they have all come and they have really improved this. We have not anticipated that. I also think that FCC is benefiting from some excellent captaincy by Nishant. One thing I like about Nishant is very low maintenance, very balanced, down-to-earth guy. So that seems to be doing wonders and miracles. We were wondering, with Vamsi being in India and things like that, who is going to take charge? But things seems to have fallen in pleasant places for FCC. I think this, sometimes ago we asked who is the biggest surprise in terms of, shock performance, most improved team. I would put FCC up there with all those teams which you considered before, because this has been, we did not expect FCC to make the playoffs. We thought that they're going to be a disaster of a team. we were wondering who they have and things like that. But, the Tejus, the Nishants, every one of them seems to be coming out and performing. And I think the most important thing is everybody seems to be in a good mind space. And I think you've got to give the credit to the captain for that. Now, I would like to have seen Panna playing on this team, because if he is the same Panna who was bowling lights out a few seasons ago, or even if he can be 80% of that, I think he would add value to this team and make this team go from being a championship contender to a team which might miss that one player who can make that difference. At this point, I'm not sure how many games they have played and whether they can even qualify him or whether he's even available for the games. But I think having that one more great bowling option and a person who can stay at the wicket in dire circumstances, would have been a good thing to have. But again, I'm not sure what the availability
this
is.
half of the team was with the Karnataka Warriors, where we played the quarterfinals FCC. They are really a good team. Everybody can bat. So all these Bhuvan, Shashank, Pratik, Satish, even like outside, everybody can bat. So they are a good unit. So
all right, we are running out of time. So let's move on to the next game, Safaris versus Thunderbolts. I see that Parthiv is back. I'm assuming he's on the phones because he's in portrait mode or something like that.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Yes, I'll be. Something happened and I'm not being able to join back through the browser. Anyways, yeah, I'll be following up. All right.
Yeah, Safaris versus Thunderbolts, Parthiv.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the Safaris versus Thunderbolts. I think this was something which I think all of us were tracking along. I think after Thunderbolts scored those 103 runs, it was going to be a game on for Safaris, and this is a very crucial game for the group as well, for Group C, because I think Safaris have an outside chance and a very good chance, in fact, to get into the top 5. Them along with Phantoms. And MCC Miles. Obviously, MCC Miles are on a high, but I would say Safaris had to kind of win this game to make sure that their chances for playoff doesn't get impacted. And they did a fabulous job in making sure that happens. After Thunderbolts, I think the top order for Thunderbolts, I think Vinod has been very consistent. And along with Deepak Bhaskaran, good to see him amongst the ranks. He was and has been kind of their go-to guy ever since Thunderbolts have started. He's been a standout performer, but good to see him amongst the runs as well. But along with those 103 runs, I think one of the things that I see Safaris do is, again, experimented with too many bowling options. I don't know if that was part of their ploy to ensure that they get ready for the playoffs, or if they was just short of bowlers. But that was one of the things which I couldn't get my head around it, as to why would you try like 8 bowlers. And on the batting side, I think Safaris, our game changer of the week, Kshitij Patla. I think he did a fabulous job with the bat, making sure that there wasn't panic, which is often the case when you're chasing a total of 100. But he, along with, he got very good support from, our golden boy, from Paramananda, Rupendra, Uday, all those double-digit scores, eventually add up, and then you get a pretty decent score. And they did it in quick succession, quick time as well, in 19 overs, scoring those runs. That was a huge moral booster for Safaris. I think with this win, I think they have more or less kind of started to put their one foot into the playoff door.
Yeah, part of this question of 1 foot into the playoff tour, I think we'll have that discussion when we get to the playoff, this thing. But I think Kshitij Patla, our game changer of the week, 36 for... He came in when the score read 36 for 3 in 6.1. Part of the amazing thing is, by the time that gone from 36 for 3 in 6.1, by the time the 9th over started, the score was 66 for 3. In other words, he added 30 runs in the space of 3 overs. And so he put that game out of reach, So definitely game changer of the week. I think is a phenomenal effort. If you ask me, have you tasted a dish called Bisibella Bath? I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure it's a Karnataka dish, and I'm sure Satya has eaten plenty of Bisibella Baths. But this Batla guy, if you ask me, made Bisibella Bath of the Tampa Bay, of that Thunderbolts bowlers in that 3 overs of carnage. It was plenty of Bisibella Bath which was served, And if you ask me, Parthu, the other thing is Devnath and Deepak have been outstanding with the ball the whole season, but they have a bowler by the name of Riaz Kareem. You see, 1 over 13 runs. I have no idea why they keep giving him the ball, because he has been a walking disaster. The reason I say that is he bowled 1 over and he gave 27 runs when he bowled to Glads. Okay. We scored only some, 92 runs or something like that in that game, or 82 runs or something like that. But my point is 27 of those runs came in that 1 over, and the culprit in chief was Riaz Kareem. I don't know Riaz Kareem, but my point is, and I'm not sure why that ball is being tossed again and again to him. Maybe he has performed in the past, but again, the thing is, then if you go and look at it, it's not just this game where 1 over went for 13 runs. If you go to the Glads game, again, he bowled, I think, 2 overs, but that after the second over went for 27 runs, he never got to see the ball again. But I think the Thunderbolts management probably have to see how they are going to approach this bowling situation, because they have some disciplined bowlers, but at the same time, outside of Bhaskaran and Devnath, the others have been a little suspect from time to time. So, but having said that, great effort by Kshitij Batla, because the moment Swarna Rahul Mritini got out and third wicket had fallen and 36 runs, we felt this was an even game. But then Kshitij came and he turned the game on its head. It was in 3 overs, 30 runs more. And now all of a sudden, the game which was looking in Thunderbolt's favor went completely in the favor of Safaris. So congrats to Safaris, but I still think they have quite a bit of work to do, because Pool C, I think is the pool of death part. I've gone back to, I've changed back my opinion. There are 7 teams, and those 7 teams are far superior to the rest of the 5 teams in Pool C. And it's a real disaster, because Parthav, let me tell you something. I won't be surprised if all the top 7 teams in Pool C have more points than a team which makes the playoffs. So in other words, the 7th team which is going to miss out from Pool C probably has more points than a team which has made the playoff as the number 5 team from some other this thing. And that would have never happened before in the history of the league, but that's a possibility this time around.
It happened last time also, I think.
No, that is a 6th team. You're talking about a 6th team. A 6th team having more points than a number 5 team is okay. But we are talking about the 7th team of that pool. I'm saying the 7th team having, obviously, if the 7th team is having more points, that means the 6th team is already having more points.
Yep. And I think just like in any other group, I think the game between Detroit Titans and SLCC Legends is going to be a great one. And that happens in the last week. So the last week is full of those nail biters in terms of who gets in the playoffs and what rankings they're going to have. So we're going to talk about that in our next segment. But yes, I think Safaris definitely in the right direction. Our next game is a very one-sided game and very, very disappointing to see dark horses, time after time, game after game, fold so meekly to their opposition. And the only silver lining, I guess, was that they this time around at least they didn't have to chase the ball since they batted first. The game was wrapped up pretty easily by Detroit Titans. So at least the physical part of running around and retrieving the ball for 25 overs was less for Detroit, for Dark Horses. But no real stand-up performance from Dark Horses. Nobody really putting their hand up for in terms of batting. I mean, you score only 48 runs, and that too in 20 overs. That definitely is alarm bells. And I'm not sure as to whether Dark Horses have come to terms with the new DCL and the way the hard ball and the way batsmen have been hitting those balls and the par score, which is now 100 and 110 and 120 plus. They're still, I think, following that copybook template, which was there probably 5 years ago, where survival and being on the crease is probably important. So all in all, I mean, Detroit Titans didn't have to do much. I think this was a cakewalk, a sleepwalk, if I have to call it. And Abhishek Verma, made sure he had a meal. He scored 32 out of the 49 runs in quick time, and made sure that the game was over before it was lunchtime.
Yeah, Parthiv, I think we are running out of time, so I'm going to make a quick comment. Abhishek Verma was Virender Sehwag on a DCL ground. He was smoking like a volcano, and in this volcanic eruption, it was the Dark Horses which got roasted, and the Titans feasted on a lot of horse meat. So let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, the next game, I mean, it was another one of those, like if you have to call Dark Horses.
Parthiv, if the previous game was a disaster, this was a catastrophe.
It was a catastrophe, and probably the right word to use for it, because nobody in their right mind or in their right sense of analyzing these games would have predicted what happened between Detroit Bulls and GLCC. Detroit Bulls, we've talked to their captain. We've seen them perform. I've seen them play against strikers, and they are not a 31 all-out team. So it was very surprising to see them, get folded so and lose so badly. I mean, they had everyone they wanted. They had the experience of Gino, they had Mahesh, they had Naveen Kumar, who has been a consistent scorer. But somehow, I think it was just not their day, and the runouts obviously didn't help. But yet again, we see GLCC, having a very professional performance. They made sure they didn't let Detroit Bulls have any chance once they got a stranglehold of them at the start of the game. And this is what experience and good teams do. They do not let you come back into the game, and they just kept piling the pressure, and kept picking wickets. And Detroit Bulls folded for 31, which probably could be their lowest score. I haven't seen them score lesser than 31. I know they have a smaller history, but this could be possibly their lowest score as well. And GLCC, on the other hand, I think they were just having fun. Even though they lost 4 wickets in their chase of 38, I think at that once they had only 31 to chase, I think they knew that come what may be, they're gonna easily sail past. So they just were having fun. They chased it in 5 overs, and again another game where I'm pretty sure Samish and company had a good lunch at home. They were early for it.
Well, once again, Samish comes to bat and he remains not out, padding his batting average like anything. I think this is being done deliberately by Samish. I think whenever the game has only 5 runs to win, I think Samish says, hey guys, I'm going to go and bat and let me increase my batting average a little more. Because how else do you explain so many times he remains not out, and it's just, he seems to come just when that winning run needs to be scored. But this is a disaster part of, it's better that I don't even discuss about this game. We have lots of better things to discuss on. So let's move on to the next game. Rangers versus Knights.
Rangers versus Knights. I think this was
Patriots Rising Stars.
Okay, Patriots Rising Stars.
Patriot Rising Stars. Okay, yeah. Patriot Rising Stars. I think this was a game which before second and third week we would have been a close contest, but Patriots are on the rise, and I think credit should be given to how their experience is now coming through. Srikanth. Between Srikanth and Sai and Venkat, I think that impact of that experience is definitely showing up. Patriots have been much more in control of their bowling than what it was before. I think earlier, I think they were still figuring out a lot of things, and who to bowl, when to bowl. And I remember when starting the bowling when we played them the first game of the season. But now I see him coming towards the middle overs. They're still missing the services of Saitota, and even without him, and we all know he's probably the linchpin of Patriots team, and he'll probably come back here since he's traveling. But even Madhu, I think this season has been great. His bowling has been a standout. And they have been getting those things in order at the right time. And we'll talk about Patriots when we talk about the playoff chances. But I think they have got their act together. And on the other hand, Rising Stars, another team like Dark Horses, hasn't been able to come to terms with it. I don't think this is going to be a season which Prashant and Chintan and all the Patel gang are going to really remember, and they want to probably forget in a hurry. But a very good performance by Shrikant with the batting. I think his 20 runs were very quick fire 20 runs. Generally, you see Shrikant kind of taking his time, but a quick fire 20 at the top, and then supported by Nitin with good scores, and Santosh. I think they just made sure that the score of 64, which could be tricky, was chased, and they got all the 5 points.
Arthur, I can't remember the last time Venkat Bhatnala bowled his full quota of 5 overs. If you went back and looked at the stats for the last 2-3 years, I doubt you'll find one game in which he has bowled all 5 overs. But usually the first 2-3 overs are very economical. So it beats me. Do you have any logical reasoning as to why he wouldn't finish his quota of 5 overs? I can understand if the first 2-3 overs went for a lot of runs, where you don't come back and finish the last 2 overs. But usually he used to open the bowling. This is the first time I think we're seeing him come at the 1-drop spot. But again, 3 overs, pretty economical. But not finishing up the quota when you're playing on the team as a bowler. And again, Srikanth Gauni's role seems to have changed. He used to be known as a bowler, but now he has become a full-time batsman and he doesn't get a single over. So is it a case of where the Patriots have so many options at the bowling department that they don't know what to do? Or is that something else? I'm just quizzing you if you have a better idea. I would ask this question to Vamsi if he was here, because he usually has the ins and outs of the latest news floating around. But I'm just out of curiosity asking that question. In case you know the answer. If you don't, we'll move on.
No, I have no idea as to why Srikanth would be, a batsman only, and why Venkat would be just a, if he's playing, why won't he bowl the full quota? And I think that is one of the reasons why I was calling upon getting Patriots captain to our show, because I think they've changed a few things, and part of it are these changes. I think in terms of bowling and batting order as well. And I would, and to be honest, even if Venkat is not bowling or Srikanth is treated as a batsman rather than a bowler, I think things are working out. So there's definitely, merit in, what changes they're making. So I would be very curious to ask him these kind of questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it is working out. I mean, they are in the playoff hunt. So it's just out of curiosity because, I remember Venkat as a 5-over bowler before, but you're playing on the team primarily as a bowler. But if you don't bowl your full quota, then if you're bowling only 2 overs, at the max 3 overs, then the question becomes what is going on. Is it a fitness issue? I don't think it's a fitness issue, because I know Venkat can dance up a storm if we wanted him to do a break dance right now. So I know it's pretty fit. He maintains himself very well. All right, let's go on. What's the next game? Dark Horses? No, Safari?
No, it's Knights versus Rangers, I think. Right? And this was a game which this was a game which I basically saw the scorecard maybe 2 or 3 times to basically make sure, my glasses weren't fogged, or if my eyes were reading it right. But MI Rangers finished the game in 11 overs. and scored those 95 runs, which was astonishing. I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure if this is a scorecard glitch, but and then I saw, the way they batted, the way they piled upon the runs, especially between Abhilash and Anil, that top order, the opening partnership, they just pummeled Knights out of this contest altogether. I think Knights would have expected, with that score of 93 to be at least getting close, or having an outside chance, even though 93 is not enough. But the way MI Rangers just dismissed them, it was just incredible as to how easily they just won the game. From a batting perspective, I think Knights, they had bits and pieces of scores, but not really anything to write home about. I think they were helped by another 23 extras, the top scorer. Obviously, that's something which MI Rangers will want to correct. But apart from the the two partnerships as well as their extras, there wasn't much to write about. And then, as I mentioned about MI Rangers, I think they were in a hurry. I don't know if they had a game or they just basically thought, today's the day, and they just took apart the bowling. Two or three of the bowlers, going or over 10 runs per over. They just targeted the bowling and just kept hitting them. And it's not only just the sixes, but also the how quickly they were able to kind of accumulate the runs as well.
Yeah, Partha, when I look at this game, I think it's a AAA show. When I say the AAA show, I'm not talking about awesome Arjun Ajmani. I'm talking about Abhilash, Anil, Aditya. These were the three guys, Aditya with the ball and Abhilash and Anil with the bat. It was complete carnage and complete destruction. It looked almost as though the Knights bowlers were fifth grade bowlers bowling to university students who were just feasting about the bowling, because only 6 runs came in the form of wides. So 89 runs were scored off the bat, and that too in 11 overs. That's almost 8 to 9 runs an over. I mean, that's a ridiculous this thing. But again, I know that when Abhilash gets going, it's very difficult to stop him, and he can bat lights out. But this was Anil also joining in this thing, and then Aditya had a fabulous day with the ball. So it was the AAA show. And I'm pretty convinced that just these 3 guys alone can beat the Knights if they want to beat the Knights. So it's a pretty impressive performance after some substandard performance from Rangers. This is the problem I have with Rangers. I don't know what to expect. One day they can be phenomenally good, and another day they can look like one of the below average teams. So I don't know. It's something which they have to work on. How to be consistently good. I guess it brings us to the last game.
Yes, it brings us to the last game of the week, which happened, which was a rescheduled game. This happened the Tuesday of this week, and a very, very interesting game happened in the twilight. And I think one of the things that impacted this game is, if you look at the score, it was Detroit Bulls winning by Duckworth Lewis method, and I think the reason was that the lights went off at the ground. I think this game went until I think it was 10:30ish and beyond, and 10:30 and then between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m. is usually the cutoff time where you have the park ranger come in and shut off the lights. So I think that was the reason that this game was abruptly had to stop at 22.2, and then the revised target was calculated using the Duckworth Lewis, and the Detroit Bulls came. Detroit Bulls comfortably won. They were ahead by 6 runs at that point, so they were there and thereabouts. But I think Stingers are themselves to blame. I think with the score of 103, they did have Detroit Bulls where they wanted. I think another wicket or 2 would have definitely helped. But this game has very high impact on the way Pool B is going to shape up. And I know you said that the game between Patriots and SSK is going to be critical for who gets into playoff. But my bet is that won't be needed. I think Bulls are going to basically make sure that that fifth spot is sealed before even we get to the last week. So my bet is on, the way Bulls have been playing and, the schedule which they have. I think they have enough to, secure that spot. I think the Detroit Bulls versus Patriots game, which is, I think, happening next week or the week after, is going to be crucial.
Yeah, Partha, when I look at this game, I wonder one thing. What would be the Bulls' record if the man who I call MBB was not on this team? Because we have seen several games where MBB has pretty much carried the team on his back and done whatever it takes. And he seems to have a knack of just doing just about enough, depending on what the doctor ordered. And in this game, it was not a very high strike rate because if you look at it, he scored 13 runs in 40 balls. Nothing to write home about. But the important thing is he stayed there and made sure there's no wickets falling. And sure enough, they won by the Duckworth-Lewis method. So he certainly did not let that strike rate go way too below, but at the same time, stayed there and won them the game. So I just wonder, where was this guy all these years? Because I started noticing him only last year as a bowler. And I think the year before that, I noticed that he was bowling well and things like that. But now it's like his game has exploded to a different planet. His batting is there, his bowling is there. And most importantly, this year with a captaincy role kind of a thing, he seems to be making all the right decisions. I can't remember the last time I've seen a player make that kind of a major transition where you have now become something which you are observing, where people like me are observing it and catching it. And obviously, when it catches my attention, then obviously all of DCL gets to know about it. But he seems to have exploded on the radar. But let me tell you, I'm an MBB fan. I'm not talking about Mahesh Babu, which is there, who's a film star or whatever it is. I'm talking about this MBB, my MBB fan. I'm a Mahesh Babu Buruluru fan.
He's playing all these tournaments. You can't get him, Vijay. See, he's playing mini Olympic also.
He's playing mini Olympics, sir.
What is mini
Olympics?
What is
that?
I don't know.
What is mini Olympics?
Some T10.
Mini Olympics?
What the hell is going on?
Oh my God!
He's playing Great Columbus.
This might be the busiest player in all of Detroit. We probably have to call him and on the show. Is he married, by the way? Do you guys know? I mean, how does he find all the time in the world?
There is a Cape Show Day and Night 2021. Oh my God, I can recognize because that is Cape Show is a good word. So he's playing across all.
By the way, I saw a photo where MBB was on the winning team which won the Punjab Cup. What is it? Punjab tournament, is it? Whatever tournament it was.
Punjab
Mela tournament. He was there too. He was right in the middle of the picture. Well, I don't know. We need to ask MBB what's the secret of this time management. All right. Of course,
and I think that's one of the reasons why he's been given the captaincy, because I think he's now, I know Gino was leading and has been leading for a while, but I think with Mahesh's involvement and his time he's giving to Detroit Bulls, that is definitely impacting. But I think the reason why we haven't noticed Mahesh Babu, because I think in 19 also he had a fairly decent season, is because I think when it comes to Bulls, we tend to focus on Gino a lot. And Gino has had a couple of, mediocre, I would say, seasons, not up to the standards which he had before for Bulls. So I think with Gino kind of lurking in the shadow now, I think Mahesh Babu definitely stands out.
And look at that average, 24.60 is a fantastic average. You get my point. And, I mean, but I think more than that, it's like he seems to be, knows when to seize the moment. That's what is really, really bothering me. Now, Gino James knows me well, and Gino James will be saying, Viju, don't put your eye on them. He's not available for Glads. At this point, all I can tell Gino is, man, he's on the eye of every team out there, all right? So I'm pretty sure every team which knows how to evaluate talent will say, wow, this is a great player to have. But yeah, but I'm happy for the Bulls. I'm just stating the obvious, but I'm also making light of the fact and just to have fun, because our show is more about not being too serious about anything, but at the same time getting the point across.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on to what our predictions.
Our next segment is the predictions.
Yep.
Or did you have the game changer of the week? I think we already announced it, but you might just want to announce it. Yep. If that is your next thing. I don't know what is your next.
Match analysis. We did that. Yes. Our game changer of the week is Kshitij Bartla for his great innings that got them past Thunderbolts from Safaris. So Kshitij, if you are listening to the show, or somebody from Safaris is listening to the show, make sure you get in touch with Satya, text or call him to claim your gift certificate. Bye.
Yeah, and Parthiv, it's amazing that there are a few guys who missed out on that certificate because they did not claim it in time, including our great friend Tejas Shantagowda, who watched the show live and still,
oh my God,
he was enjoying the dance too much that day, so he forgot to claim it in time. So, but again, I see that I am still in number 2 spot. But
yes,
it looks like
by a razor thin margin, it's one.
Parthiv, at this point, I think we have to take some undue risks, because there's no other way we're going to catch KK. Because at this point, I don't really care whether I'm number 2 or last at this point.
Exactly.
I have to make some sort of a push to get to KK.
Okay.
But
this should be an easy one. This should be an easy one for Raptors. Go for it, Viju. Take some risk.
Yeah, no, I already picked with Raptors. I mean, there is taking risk, and there is sensible risk, and there is stupid risk. Now, I'm not going to do stupid risk, all right? So, I'll take sensible risk.
Okay. So, Parthiv goes.
Yeah, it's the Raptors. Yeah, I think 4-0.
KK going with Raptors too. So,
I think
Parthiv, I keep hoping that KK doesn't fill. Did he fill out the Excel sheet? Oh, he did. Otherwise, we should have just given him 0 for everything.
He does. I think he's put a reminder for himself at 6:30 or something.
No, I sent him around 7 o'clock. So.
Oh
no, you should not send these reminders, Satya. You should just keep quiet. And then what happens is, if he doesn't fill it, we say he got 0. That's it.
Let's try it next week. Let's see if he remembers.
He went to the game and he's filling out from there. Okay, so FCC Spartans. Here is a chance, guys. Vamsi picks Spartans.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Let's stay with FCC on this one.
Yes,
everybody is on FCC here.
Yes. This is a chance to score one.
And Nishant made sure, he told me that he will make sure Vamsi loses a point.
Thank you very much, Nishant. I love Nishant. I love him. Man, I love him.
But I'm sure if Vamsi has picked Spartans, there is something that we don't know.
No, he might not be playing. See, Parthiv, here is the thing. At this point, Vamsi thinks he's demigod, so he thinks that if he's not playing, FCC is done and dusted. But here is the problem for Vamsi. Those guys are all performing. Did you see the last game performance? Vamsi didn't play, but FCC made it look like a stroll in the park, Parthiv. I mean, they performed so well. So at this point, I think this is the best FCC team I've seen in several years, or probably the best team ever.
Yep. I think they definitely have their act together.
Batshas Motor City.
Yeah, even though Motor City came close to Indus Thunders, I think that was basically Thunders playing around. So I would definitely go with Detroit Batshas. It should be Should be a win for them.
So Vamsi goes, Viju goes, but I am going to Motor City.
Ooh.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I
You-
can understand that, but here is the thing: as long as Ali Shan can put aside his personal feelings for his relatives and just approaches this game from a point of winning the game, I think Badshahs have enough
There's
talent because
3
Motor
man
City
cuts
has
coming this
Dinesh Ravi.
week, Viju.
What is that again?
3 man cuts coming this week, and Dinesh Ravi wins.
3 man cuts. But here is the
Man
thing:
cuts.
you can only do a man cut if the guy steps out. Last I saw, Ali Shan is the street smart guy. So it's only when it comes to blood that sometimes he forgets the street smartness, you see. So that's why I'm trying to put pressure on Ali Shan and say, Ali Shan, I know he's your nephew and I know he's your brother and all that stuff. Forget all that. Let's try to win the game.
We are
Promote
going next.
yourself up
We
the
are
other.
going next. You are giving too many insight for him.
All right.
Thunder's Knights. Obvious.
Oh,
Yeah, this should be a 4-0 Thunders, I think.
Yeah. If they want to lose, they would have calculated something, Viju.
yeah, I know. Never put anything past Sandeep Gopu.
Yeah.
He'll think up something.
Yeah. He would have already had the 16 and where he's playing till finals. Like.
And he probably is advising Srikanth Yerua all kinds of things. And right now it's all going over Srikanth's head, probably.
Yeah. So here is one more option for me to take where Parthiv.
Yeah, I'm going with the Hitman. Yeah, this is a risk. Yeah, this is a risk which I'm going to take, calculated risk. If
So
this pays off.
Parthiv, if I'm winning all, I will go past you. Okay.
Yes, I know. But as I said, my competition is with KK now.
Yeah.
But here is the thing, Satya. I thought last year we changed the model that we said that this was going to count until the end of the playoffs. Because remember, we talked about last year because that, playoffs win should count for 2 points instead of the 1 point.
Is it
To make it interesting. We had this discussion. Go and look at this at last year's last show or second last show. We did this discussion that next year we should go up to the end of the playoffs. Because we were predicting in the playoffs, but the thing was that, it was not counting because we had said that this thing. Maybe we can ask.
Playoff too, because it's a game, like.
Yeah, it's a game. So that would give everybody a little more of a chance.
Yeah,
figure
there
out.
it's hard to predict because all teams are good. Like.
Yeah.
At least
That's
after the
why the
quarterfinals, it is going to be difficult.
No, that's why the playoff win should count for 2 points. Every time you get a prediction right.
So GLCC, the way GLCC going, all GLCC.
Yeah, this is another game. If Stingers can even manage a bonus point, I think they will.
Your friend needs some help.
I know, but this is beyond. I think both teams are, my favorite.
Satya, how in the world is he going to pick against a GLCC when Strikers GLCC also he predicted GLCC to win?
I know. I got a lot of flack because of that from my team. But I think to just comment on that game, if Stingers can pull off one bonus point, I think that would be amazing. I mean, they will definitely have some outside chance if they can pull that off.
But with the Shamis, I think it's tough. So
yeah,
you would have calculated more than them.
You're right.
So Guardians, Bulls, important game. So,
very important game, and I think. Since I'm predicting Bulls to go to 5th spot, I think I go with Bulls.
So everybody goes with Bulls, but yes, so it can be any way around. Guardians are coming back with their performance. They're just tuning up with their team, so it can be any side. Hari Kurada will come back strong with 5 wickets this time.
Oh, if that happens and Bulls lose, I think again you have another complex scenario in Pool B.
Yeah, we don't know.
Parthiv in MBB, I trust, so I think Bulls will make it.
KRCC and Patriots. So
I think KRCC. And again, this is something assuming that all the guns are available.
even not, I think KRCC has the batting power. So Maulik will single-handedly win it. So
Yeah.
the idea Safari. So must-win game, but easy win. But
Yeah, Safari should easily win that. For Daria's sake, I just hope that they don't lose the toss.
yeah. Safaris, the problem is everybody playing a lot of tournaments like other
Yep.
things. So that's where they are missing the thing.
Yeah. Did you lose,
Titans and
Viju?
Thunderbolts.
No, I'm here. I'm very much
Oh,
here.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, it was pretty straightforward, so there's nothing much
Yeah.
to talk.
Titans, Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, but I think Detroit Titans are definitely. I think one of the reasons why Pool C wasn't looking threatening was because of Detroit Titans' early performances. But now with Detroit Titans in the mix, Pool C, as you rightly said, is definitely looking like the pool of death. So yeah, this should be, Detroit Titans, but I think Thunderbolts can probably give them a fight at least.
Dark versus Pokeries.
Oh, this is a game where everybody's lining up to bat and ball. So
Saran might hit a century.
Yeah, our friend.
But Dark has a knack to get batting every important game.
Good for them.
Yeah. But Dairia doesn't have that, but Dark has it. So Dynamite's SLCC Legends. It's a good game. It can be any side, but though Legends has to be in the tournament, they have to win this. So
right, and if you look at the standings, it could be if the Legends didn't have the reputation which they have, it is going to be 8 versus 9, so it is going to be anybody's game, and one pushes the other out. But considering Legends, their reputation, I think we've all gone with that.
Again, Partha, I'm not sure if we can look at it as 8 versus 9 because Legends
have played
comparatively very less games compared to everybody else. They have, I think, the most number of games remaining.
So
that was the last game. All right. Okay.
I'm going to share which KK has sent us.
Yes.
So this was analysis by KK.
Yeah, just for everybody out there, please do not hate us because this is KK's prediction of how the top 16 teams is going to look at. But obviously, Parthiv and I have some disagreements on some of these picks. So I guess we'll go through 1 through 16, Parthiv. I think that's probably the way to go at it. I mean, in the sense that we can knock off this thing and then see what it is. I think KK's prediction is Glads will take the top spot. Again, that looks somewhat realistic because Glads has only Phantoms and Dynamites left to go. At this point, I think Glads can still afford to lose one game and still take the top spot. So my feeling is Glads will probably take it. They probably win both the games, but again, it depends upon who's available. But having said that, that's just my thinking is that one spot is gone out of the 16, one is gone.
I agree. No, I think
I
absolutely. Yeah.
Going to the second team, Parthiv, GLCC. Again, he's predicting 49 points, and they have Stingers and Patriots left. Again, I think it's a very logical prediction to assume that GLCC will win both the games with bonus, which will take them from 39 to 49. But I do have some disagreement with KK on whether GLCC will take the second spot. That and when we cover teams 3 and 4, you'll see why I say that.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be between 2 and 3 in terms of the net run rate. And I think the bonus point, as I said, if somebody slips up the bonus point, I think that's going to be determining 2 and 3. So I agree. I mean, it could be between Thunders and GLCC. It could be anybody between 2 and 3.
No, even Raptors, Parthiv. So here is the thing. And when we get to Raptors, I'll get to you. Because right now, Raptors are ahead of Thunders, all right? Both on a net run rate basis, as well as the more important thing being head-to-head. Raptors beat Thunders, so they are always going to be ranked higher than Thunders as long as they are tied at points.
Right.
What point? What are you sharing?
What
happened to Parthiv? I don't see Parthiv.
So I can see the whole thing.
I went behind the screen. Yeah.
Okay. You might have to move it around a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe Satya, move it a little more to the left or right or something.
That's good.
All right. No, you have the one thing about the other, right? All right. But anyway, so going to Thunders, Parthiv, right now, he has them at 49 points. But if you really look at it, Thunders are at 34. So he's assuming that Thunders will beat Knights, Thunders will beat Rangers, and Thunders will beat Hawks. Those are the three opponents which Thunders have. And he's assuming that Thunders are going to win all 15 points. There, the only question I have is whether Thunders beat Rangers with bonus. All right. I think Thunders win the game. The bonus point is where I'm not sure, because it depends on which Rangers team shows up. If it's the kind of Rangers team which showed up in the last game, which goes around scoring 95 runs in 11 overs, then we have a different issue on hand, you see. So I have some question mark on that. So I feel that Thunders can be either 49 points or 48 points, you see. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know if you have a different opinion on that.
No, I agree. I think that, as I mentioned, that one bonus point is going to be key if they lose out. But even if they, I think GLCC should be, in my opinion, should be pretty secured of position 2, because they have a higher run rate. And I think the two games that they have, I think they have Stingers and Patriots, which I don't see them, most definitely losing out on bonus point or making sure that they don't lose the bonus point. So they have a better chance as compared to the Thunders.
The question on the number 2 spot, Parthiv, for me is between GLCC and Raptors. That's just my opinion. The reason I say that is because right now he has predicted 48 points, but really speaking, the Raptors right now, they have 34 points.
34.
Yeah.
34, but they have 3 games remaining, and their games are against Agni, Sterling Strikers, and Knights. Okay. Yep. Okay. Now, out of that, Agni and Knights, I think they'll get the 10 points for each. Sure. All right. But Sterling Strikers, I think KK has said that they will win it, but they won't get the bonus. So, but I personally think between Sterling Strikers and Raptors, I think it's a no contest. First, this is my personal opinion. Yes, Mansab Butt is there on the other end, but Mansab has really not done anything earth-shattering this season in DCL, all right? And he has not been as committed to DCL like before when he was with Brownstown. So that has certainly affected the performances. When I look at the Sterling Strikers' performances in the last few games, I just feel that Raptors are firing on all cylinders. And now, when I look at the talent level on Raptors, I just feel that that game will be a no contest. And I know that the Sterling Strikers may not like.
I won't say that because I beg to differ on that, because I basically feel like come close to playoffs, I think that's where Raptors start shaking and they start to lose that confidence. So it's not going to be a no contest between Raptors and Sterling. And I think I like how KK has predicted that Raptors win, but without the bonus point. But I would say it could, very well be like Sterling Strikers pull off an upset. So I think Raptors have to be really careful.
Okay, sorry. Here's the thing. If as per my prediction, I think Raptors win all 3 games with bonus, and they will go to 49. And if you look at that NRR 2.01 versus 1.99, that can easily flip. You get my point?
Yeah.
Which is why I have Raptors at 2 and GLCC at 3 and Thunders at 4. That's just my opinion, all right? But and again, each of us is entitled to an opinion. I just feel that based on what I have seen, as much as Jawad is going to try as hard as he wants, I still feel that also the other thing, Parthiv, is I think, I'm not sure when that Raptors versus Sterling Strikers game is, but as it gets closer to Mishka playoffs are also into the equation, which means Mansab may not even play. You get my point? So there are a lot of things which can come into the picture, but compared to that, Raptors has a pretty dedicated team. So they have lots of difference makers. And now with Kiran, the man who claims he can bat a little bit, what nonsense, is also firing, becomes a problem, you see.
Yep. Now, then the next team, which is the next team, couple of teams is interesting between MCC Miles and KRCC. So I know MCC Miles, I think around 26, if I'm not mistaken, currently, and they have got like 5 games to go. But if you look at their schedule, they have pretty tough games.
Parthiv, I'll tell you exactly. They have Phantoms, Dynamites, Pokeries, and Legends. All right.
Yes.
Now, so so the thing is, Pokeries and Legends are question mark games for me.
Right. Exactly. And as compared to, like, if you compare KRCC, I think they have a pretty relatively easier schedule. They have, I think,
they have only Patriots, Rising Stars, and Local Boys. So they are going to get the full 15 points. Is what I feel. Yes,
correct.
So they will definitely get to 45. Whether Miles will get to 45, we do not know. But if Miles gets to 45, clearly Miles have the best NRR in the entire league. So
I agree.
They will take that 5th spot if they get to 45. But the question is big if, because I don't think Pokeries is. I think Pokeries is a 55-45 game for Miles, and then Legends is also probably a 60-40 game for Miles. But these are games where you don't pencil in a victory for you. I mean, I think when we start out, we always say, okay, the first thing we want to do is make playoffs. There are some teams you want to definitely have in your win column, but there are some games where we didn't count the Pokeries game into the win column. We felt it was a 50-50 game. Same thing with Legends. We thought it will be a 50-50 game or a 55-45 game. If we win that, take the win. If you don't, okay, move on to the next game.
Yep. And then I think one of the things I was going to say, one of the things that KK has probably done is he's probably on his side underestimated Pokeries. I think he's giving wins for MCC Miles, for Troy Hawks even, to Pokeries. That's what I see, and that's where Troy Hawks gets. I think they're on 31 right now, and they get 14 points out of the 3 games. And one of the games that Troy Hawks are playing is against Pokeries, and that's going to be. If you ask my prediction, I think I'll go with Pokeries against to beat Troy Hawks. So I won't put Troy Hawks as 7 as of yet. I would definitely, I think, would have Pokeries there.
Yeah, Viju, you're at mute.
Sorry. So I don't know if you guys heard what I said, but Troy Hawks has 31 points, but they play Pokeries and Safaris and Phantoms. Pokeries and Safaris are question mark games for Troy Hawks. So whether they get to 45, I do not know. I mean, they can get to 46 if they win all 3 games with bonus. But at this point, I'm not convinced that they will get to 45. I have a feeling that one of those games might be a loss.
Yep. I think the next...
Sterling Strikers.
Sterling Strikers, I think that's basically, I think if we can talk the same thing about Raptors. I think if they do not beat Raptors, I think, having that 8th position makes I mean, that 8th position makes sense. But if they beat Raptors, I think they definitely would go up to the 4th or the 5th spot.
Yeah, I agree, because right now they have 32 points, Parthiv. So they can give, if they beat Raptors, especially with bonus, they can go all the way up to 47, because they have, what is that? Motor City, which they'll win with 5 points. And they have Canton 11, which I think they will beat this year to avenge last year's Mohammad Ramzi debacle, which Canton 11 delivered on Sterling Strikers. This time around, Jawad is there. So I don't think he's going to let that happen. So I think Sterling Strikers beat Captain. The only question is the Raptors game. So that's the big question mark game. I personally feel that Raptors have too much firepower for Sterling Strikers to win that game, but we'll see. That's going to be a good critical game.
Yeah,
but anyway, all these teams have locked their playoff spots for sure. The top 8 spots, you see.
Yep. I think, even 9th, I think FCC, I mean, looking at their schedule, they already have 32 points, if I'm not, 34 points.
And they only have Spartans and Knights left.
Yep. So I expect, I think probably, with the way KK has predicted, I think he goes for Spartans to, get those points against FCC. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think FCC is going to get, if not all 10, at least 9 points. To get to 43. So
in fact, I feel that they're going to get to 44 because they are at 34 now, and I think they win both those games with bonus, which will get them from 34 to 44 is what I feel.
Yep. I think Stars, I think it's pretty
again, they have only Rising Stars, Local Boys and Strikers, you see. I think their Strikers is the one game where they might have to figure out if they are going to be a win there, you see.
Yep. And I think that's going to be crucial for us too, is I think our position will depend on that game as to how we fare. If we get to, into the top 10 or stay out like the way it's predicted, I think currently the way KK has, he's given us the 2 games which we have against SLCC Guardians and what do we have? Sorry, I am.
Yeah, but he has not given you even 1 bonus point, Parthiv. Right now, Stars are at 24. They have Rising Stars and Local Boys and Strikers. So if he has to get them to 39, that means Stars are going to win all 3 games with bonus.
Right.
That's his calculation, and I think only the Strikers game is the question mark. That 10 points is for sure. The other question is on the 5 points against Strikers. That I do not know whether they're going to get all 5 or 4, or 0 or 1. We'll see.
Yep. I think SLCC Legends makes sense. I think they should be, apart from the game against Miles, which they have. I think they have, dark horses, and I think, I forgot, they have Detroit Titans too in their game. So that is going to be a really crucial game as we talked about. I think that's going to basically determine, who basically transcends each other. Like if it's SLCC Detroit Titans or Titans go below, like the way it's written out here. But I think on this table at least, I think KK has given SLCC the game against Titans.
Yeah, well, Legends basically right now are at 15 points, but they have 5 games remaining, Parthiv. They have Miles, Dynamites, Dark Horses, Titans, and Safaris. Out of that, you can only count Dynamites and Dark Horses in the win column for Legends at this point. Obviously, those are must-win games, but then Miles, Titans, and Safaris, there is a lot of uncertainty there.
I would give them Safaris too. But I think Titans and Miles is going to be a close contest. Can't really.
So that's where, Parthiv, remember I told you the 6th and 7th spot. If the 6th spot is coming out of Pool C, that is why I said Legends versus Safaris is going to be a very, very critical game. Remember, I identified 2 games, Legends versus Safaris and SSK versus Patriots. Those are 2 critical games because the winner of that probably changes the outcome. So if Legends beat Safaris, Safaris might see themselves slipping from 5th or 6th spot to 7th spot, you see.
Yeah, but I think before Patriots play SSK, I think that's the one you're calling out, right?
No. From Pool C, there are 7 teams fighting for 5 spots or 6 spots. So obviously the 7th team is going to miss out no matter what. Now, even if Legends is the team which is the 6th team, or Titans is the 6th team, the outcome of Legends versus Safaris is going to be the backbreaker, right? That's going to be the one which is going to determine the outcome. Because that can either push you up and push your opponent down, or you go down and your opponent goes up. That's the kind of ramifications there.
Right. Yeah, and talking about Patriots, I think that's where I probably disagree with KK. I think Patriots have probably the toughest schedule ahead.
We left the Pokris in the mix. So
sorry?
Yeah.
We left Pokris.
Oh, yeah. And Pokris again, Parthiv, they have dark horses, Troy Hawks and Miles, out of which you can count the dark horses as a win for them. But Troy Hawks and Miles, at this point, I don't know. It's a 50-50 game, or, Miles is playing very good. Always it used to be with Pokris were the favorites, but this year's Miles team is much, much improved. So I wouldn't even give Pokris the advantage there. I would probably give Miles the slight advantage there.
I agree. I think, and that's what basically I think even KK in this table has provided. I think he's provided the Pokris Miles games to Miles, and even the Pokris Sterling Strikers game. I think
Partha, what he has done is he has given 5 points to Dark Horses, which takes them from 31 to 36. And Troy Hawks and Miles, he's expecting Pokris to lose. Both of them to lose, but I think he thinks that he'll take 1 point from Troy Hawks. Pokris will take 1 point from Troy Hawks.
Yeah.
In other words, he's saying that in other words, he's predicting Miles to slam the door shut on Pokris.
But I think it's going to be the other way around, where Troy Hawks are probably going to get a bonus point and Pokris are going to get the 4 points, if not 5. So I think my prediction would be the reverse, and that's going to be a very interesting week, because that will help us to catch up on KK if he goes by these predictions.
I agree, because that is a game which I'm looking forward to, where I'm planning to pick Pokris against Troy Hawks.
Yep.
And as you rightly said, if I had to bet, I would say that Pokris gets 4 points and Troy Hawks gets 1 point.
Yep. We come to Patriots. I think these are the 3 teams that I had the most probably, I had debatable decisions, which KK has. I think Patriots, I don't think for me, go ahead.
Yeah, Parthiv, I don't see Patriots making it. I'm sorry to say this.
I agree.
I'm being brutally blunt here, because they have KRCC, they have Bulls, they have GLCC and SSK. Which of those 4 games is easy? Definitely GLCC and KRCC are really uphill climbs, all right? And then Bulls, I personally think Bulls are playing a better brand of cricket than Patriots at this point of time.
I agree. Absolutely. And I think I was of the same opinion, that I don't see Patriots in qualifying for the playoff. They might marginally miss it, but they are going to miss it because of the early debacle which they had. They had games which they should have won, and now coming to the towards the end of their schedule, I think they are going to they have, unfortunately, they are lined up against the topper, the pool toppers. Two of them, KRCC and GLC, still to go. And as you mentioned, Bulls are playing some awesome cricket, so it's very difficult to see past them.
Parthiv, the thing is, Bulls have Guardians, Patriots, and Hitmen. Out of that, only the Patriots game is the question mark game. I think Bulls should easily win the other 2 games, Guardians and Hitmen. So this is where I honestly feel that KK is wrong, and this is where I feel Bulls takes that spot and Patriots miss out in the top 16 is what I feel. And again, both are Pool B teams, so only one of them is going to make it is what I feel.
Yep. And then the next one is also another one which I disagree. I don't think Spartans would make it to the playoffs. And all with all due respect, and I think one of the reasons is I think Canton 11 right now they're tied with Canton 11, and Canton 11 has 3 games to go, as compared to, so they have a game in hand, albeit yes they still have to play Sterling Strikers, but I still feel they have a better chance as compared to Spartans. I think the reason why Spartan comes in is because the next game is where Vamsi sees Spartans winning against FCC. So if that doesn't happen, you can say goodbye, Spartans.
Yeah, and again, I think Vamsi's entire this thing is based on Spartans beating FCC. I have no idea or any logical reasoning to make that assumption based on what we have seen so far.
Right.
I mean, yes, anything is possible in cricket and things like that, but based on the body of work which has been done so far, I still feel that FCC has the advantage, and Nishant Shivkumar has vowed to make sure that Vamsi is wrong. So I feel fairly comfortable about that FCC pick. I honestly also do not see Spartans making it, or it's going to be a cat and mouse game, because FCC, if they lose and they only beat FCC Agni, then all of a sudden from 20, they can only go to 25 or 26. And I am not so sure 26 gets you into the playoffs, you see.
Yep. And then the last team is Detroit Titans. So I think Detroit Titans have an uphill task against Legends. And then I think there's one game which I think we basically can count them to win, which is against Thunderbolts, I think. But I think my prediction, and when it comes to that stage between Detroit Titans and SLCC Legends, I'm going to pick Detroit Titans, because I think Legends, yes, they have that reputation, but I think Detroit Titans have just been able to switch on at the right time. And I have faith in their team and in the leadership of Satish. And I feel like this might be an upset which will basically propel Titans much higher than 16 and close to around the 14th mark.
Actually, who's this? Titans Satish Gaba is a very good analyst. He's got a pretty sharp mind and is pretty good at looking up all these various permutations and combinations. That's why I told Satya, see if you can get Gaba on the show, because I thought he would add value in that sense. But again, I think Titans right now at 27, they have Thunderbolts and Legends. They could easily go to 37, or for sure, if they win the Thunderbolts game, they're going to end up at 32, and I think 32 probably gets them easily into the playoffs. So I don't even see them at number 16. I see them ahead of that, maybe at 14, 13, worst case 15 probably. So that's the thing, Parthiv. So the other teams which I could consider in Pool A is Hawks. Right now they are at 21, but Parthiv, they have Canton 11 and Thunders, which means that Canton 11, okay, let's say they win against Canton 11, that still gets them only to 25 or 26, because if they don't win against Indus Thunders, it's all over. This is where if they had beaten Motor City, they would have been sitting now at 31 points, where they would have gone into the playoffs. So I still think that Hawks missed the playoffs. Canton 11 is the other Pool A team. They are at 20, but they have to play Rangers, Hawks, and Sterling Strikers, out of which only Hawks is a guaranteed win kind of a thing, which you can kind of put 5 points. The other two teams, Rangers and Sterling Strikers, depends on which Ranger team shows up. And then you have Rangers, who are at 14 points, but they have Canton 11, they have Thunders, and Motor City. For sure, they can get to 24 from 14. 10 points for sure they can get, but Thunders is a totally different ball game. So I feel at this point, Rangers miss the playoffs because consistency has been a problem for them. They can suddenly come and put up a great game, but consistently being week in, week out, performing well, they have shown that that's been a challenge for them. Parthu, are you still there or you're frozen? I'm not
He's
sure.
mute.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, he's on mute. All right. No problem. And Partha, Pool B, I think Bulls, you and I agree that Bulls will make the playoffs. That's, of course, KK doesn't believe that, so that we went off KK's list, but I personally see Bulls making it. SSK is the other team, which I don't think, did Vamsi have SSK? I also don't have SSK. And Partha, I'm assuming that you also
Patriots.
don't have SSK. Yeah, all right. So,
I think Bulls and Patriots would be depending on part of our game, SSK versus Strikers. I think that is going to impact. So they'll be hoping that we don't slip up.
Yeah, and in Pool C, I think it's really up to Safaris. Safaris, they still control their destiny, but Safaris, Legends, and Titans are fighting for the last 1 to 2 spots is what I feel. One out of those 3 teams is going to miss it, because I see Glads, Troy Hawks, Pokeries, and MCC Miles all safely through, which means there's only 1 or 2, maximum 2 spots remaining. Out of those 3 teams, my feeling is 2 of them takes that 5th and 6th spot. So I do believe that the 6th spot is going to come out of Pool C. And in fact, I won't be surprised if the 7th spot also has more points than somebody who is at number 5 in either Pool A or Pool B.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all I have with regards to.
Yeah, but one thing for sure is I know KK, he was planning to join. I don't know if he joined. Yeah, he joined. Okay, KK.
Oh, he just joined.
Hello, everyone.
First of all, thank you for putting that table together. They definitely helped us to have that conversation. But my point is, if you keep this. You should keep these predictions till the end, because that gives us a chance.
We'll see. This week, at least, I took a chance in my own game, FCC versus Spartans, which means there is a good chance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a few games which I think we strongly disagree, especially the Pokeries games against Legends, and then Titans against Titans. So there are a few games which I think both Viju and I have a chance to catch you up.
Sorry, which Vamsi,
Vamsi, let me tell you something. MBB is going to bury you. He is going to carry the Bulls on his back, and he is making the playoffs. Are you willing to take a bet on me with me? Let's do this on national television. The loser gives a treat, a dinner treat at the place of their own choosing. I already have one dinner treat lined up, Partha, Mr. Mayur, whom I am yet to track down. I need to track that guy down. Owes me a dinner treat. All right, now I'm trying to see if I can somehow manage to finagle a dinner treat out of Mr. KK if he has the
I would double
the bet.
I would double it down. I am on the Bulls side as well, so I would double it down.
I'm on the Bulls side. I'm all in on Bulls, baby. I'm bullish on the Bulls. Vamsi, come on. Now tell me, are you willing to take that bet that the Bulls will not make the playoffs?
I think Bulls will not be the number 5 team in their pool. I think Patriots will make it. Bulls will be number 6. If they can make the 16th spot or not, it's a different question. But definitely Patriots, I think, have a higher.
Okay, let's bet on that then. I think we are betting on Bulls being the 5th spot.
Well, Partha, at least at the moment, I see myself at the top of the predictions, which means I have that gift card. I can definitely treat you all.
But that's what I want your promise, that stick to your predictions till now the end of the season.
Vamsi, you're making an assumption. This is all the way till playoffs ends, my friend. And in playoffs, it's 2 points for every correct prediction.
Is that so? Because I asked Satya and he said it's only until the end of this league stage.
Satya doesn't know the difference. Satya doesn't know the difference between Monday and Saturday. All right, and you are asking that guy, man, he has no clue what he is doing. Oftentimes, I have to educate him. So the problem is, last year it was decided that the prediction should not end at the end of the regular season, but we had announced it at the beginning of the season that it will be the end of the regular season. So last year, we all felt it was very close. man, we should go all the way till the end of the playoffs with playoffs predictions counting for 2 points instead of the regular 1 point win during a regular season. I'm sure Parthiv remembers that discussion, but you can go back and look at that YouTube video and you'll see that what I said. But we can always go and check with our sponsor. What does he want? You get my point?
Well, we can always check that. But what you're doing is, yes, you can roast me all that you want. Nishant Shivakumar can roast me all that he wants. But you're roasting your own gladiator skipper on national television.
But KK, you know that that's how I always work, right? I roast anybody and everybody. I roasted our friend, who is this, or the guy who came on the show, the Kiran Boinapalli. So, you know, I roast anybody and everybody I get a chance to roast.
That's the fun part of it.
My friend. That's the fun
why
part
people...
of it, KK. What's the fun? Who wants to eat a raw chicken? We want to eat a roasted chicken which has been barbecued very well. So we're setting you up to barbecue you, my friend.
Anyway,
that's how it works.
Yep,
I think
the only reason I joined is, because the entire crew is back on this show. So I wanted to say hi to all you three guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's special chemistry when the entire gang is there, because that's a strange way of we tend to piggyback on each other. We like to pull each other's legs, and it's all fun and games kind of a thing. So I missed it. I'll tell you that much. But I missed interviewing some of the guests you had last time around. I really wanted to interview the Chanakya Lokam. I wanted to interview some of the other guys you had. The other guys who filled in, they filled in admirably, I thought.
Well, at least based on my predictions, Spartans will make the playoffs. We can invite Chanakya in the future shows.
Yeah, if that happens, absolutely. That will be an eye-opener.
One more dinner.
Spartans make it.
By the way, you didn't answer the question. So the dinner bet is on, right? So I'm saying Bulls are making the playoffs. You're saying Bulls is not making the playoffs.
No. My bet is slightly different. That Patriots will be at higher seeding than Bulls.
Okay, I'm willing to take that bet.
All right. Deal it is.
Satya, please make sure MBB knows that I have taken a bet on him, and he needs to carry me too. In addition to the Bulls team, he needs to carry me too. All right.
I will let MBB and Nitin know this. So
I'm not so worried about whether you tell Nitin or not. It doesn't matter to me. All I said is, please make sure MBB knows. Once he knows it, he knows how to carry people on his back.
Well, I think August 20th we'll know, because they play head on. Detroit Bulls face Patriots the week after next. So that's going to be, that is going to be the decider, I feel.
Actually, Parthiv, that also tells me that in the coming few weeks, we might have this week we couldn't find a single game which was worthy of showcase game of the week.
KK doesn't umpire that game.
Which game?
Yes, FCC is scheduled to be umpiring that game. Wow.
Which game? No, I'm not going to be available that weekend.
Bulls versus Patriots, FCC has an umpiring assignment. So that is another twist. So that adds to the bet.
No, in fact, I'm not available the next 3 weekends for any of the DCL games or umpiring, Parthiv.
Okay, well, the thing is, I think it's going to be next 3 weeks. This week, we didn't have a single game which we felt deserved SGOW status. But I think the next 3-4 weeks, we have some really exciting games coming up. Something which decides the playoffs on the line. So I'm looking forward to going back to SGOW, where we get a chance to interview some of these skippers and have a ball doing it.
Yep. All right. I think we've exceeded our time. We are 10:30. But it was great discussion. I think this is going to be more and more interesting discussions as we near the playoffs, and who makes it, who doesn't make it, and which team has themselves to blame versus luck. Sometimes luck plays a factor. So we'll discuss all these things. We'll have captains coming to our show as well for the next showcase game of the week. So we'll have a lot more masala as we come closer to playoff. And obviously, The one question I'm leaving you guys all with, that including our analyst, is if we had an IPL style playoff, IPL style auction, who would be your biggest bank, or who would you break your bank for? So,
by the way, Vamsi, we are going to
it.
do that. If you go back and listen to the beginning of the show, you'll realize that that's something which we want to do, which is all of us get a budget, and then we get to splurge, do an auction, and we'll have KK's team as per Satya, Viju's team, and Parthiv's team. And it'll be interesting to see who we
I think we should probably do. Yeah, we should probably do that during the Labor Day weekend, where basically we get 2 weeks, because they're going to definitely take time for us to figure out who is in the 11 and who would you spend money to. So I think that would be an ideal just before the playoffs.
All right, you're game for that, Mr. KK?
Yes, let's do it.
Or is that too much for that big brain of yours?
No, I would never back out of a challenge. Let's do it.
All right. Satya, please look and see if you can find a sponsor. But how do you decide who's the winner of this thing? No.
That is true. But let's think about it. We still have time.
Unless we take the points which they accumulate from the DCL this thing, and then add those points to see which guy ended on top.
You mean just the playoffs?
Just the playoffs, starting in the playoffs, you figure out. So obviously, we probably should limit it to just the playoff bound teams or something like that. And then say that, okay.
Yeah, probably let's do it only for the first week of the playoffs, because some teams play more games, some teams play less.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So just for the pre-quarters and only playoff bound teams, you basically select players from the playoff bound teams. So that, at least it's a manageable subset.
But the problem is on September 4th, we won't know all the playoff bound teams. We'll probably know about 13 to 14 teams. I think 14, 15, and 16 is going to be a...
So if someone wants to pick outside that 13 or 14, which already made the playoffs, they can feel free to do it. Just waste their money on that.
Yeah, that's a risk. That's a good one. Actually.
That's the risk.
You risk. Yep. Cool. All right.
So
we'll figure out some of the
we'll do one thing. We'll ask Satya to come up with a pool of eligible players, so that way none of us is making a mistake. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Satya, you're capable. You have the time to do that.
I'll create a list. Easy. First 15 to 14 teams are okay. Last 2 teams only, I'm thinking. So,
last 2 teams you can't figure it out. So just go with 14 teams which you know for sure will make it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
But don't we have to provide a price tag to these guys? Like, how would you know?
No. The price tag is it's an open bid, right? It's an auction.
You have to auction your.
Okay, so we are going to do an open auction.
Yes,
it's an open auction. Okay. You can. So
it's not a fantasy league.
Yeah.
It's not. It's even in fantasy you have these open auctions, right? Yeah. I mean, you have the snake draft and then you have the auction. I take part in a fantasy league with Satya where it's an open auction. You can get any player you want, as long as you're willing to pay that kind of money.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good. All right.
What's the budget? 100 million? What is the budget?
Yeah. 100 million. Let's not do 1 million.
Start your bid with 1 million.
Let's make it somewhere that the math is easy. Let's not go into too many zeros. Because ultimately, you just have to worry about 100. Don't worry about the million portion of it. Ultimately, it's all relative. So,
but
during the auction,
we are trying to make these. If I bid, let's say 50 million on Parthiv Mehta, I want Parthiv Mehta to feel like $50 million. All right.
I will wear that gold.
Somebody at least valued me at $50 million.
I will wear that gold. I'll wear that gold jacket with the 50 million on it. 50 million man, just like Chris Gale. Chris Gale does.
Yeah.
Universal boss.
Viju, I have someone here. He wants to say hi to you. He's your good friend, I think.
Who is this friend of mine?
Hey, Viju.
Hey, Abhishek.
Hey, what's up,
Abhishek.
Penmester? What's going on, man?
Hey, what?
GMCC is smoking everything. What's
Hey,
going
G-
on?
I'm listening to this voice live in front of me after such a while. So I'm like, the energy is still there.
Yeah, energy is very much there.
Just like
I'm like a duck. I'm like a duck. You put me in water, I will float, buddy.
Abhishek is another one of those guys, just like Samish, never gets old. Old wine keeps.
He's like fine wine. He gets better with the years. So I'm assuming you played for Blue Cross.
You just played and on the freeway, I took a route that KK told me and we are stuck in traffic. So
Oh.
This is why you should never trust KK with anything. When it comes to all these things, I mean, KK has no clue. KK is picking against his own team.
Viju, I remember you picked against Gladiators 1 week back.
Yeah, I know that. But
I
KK,
I do, but against a stronger opponent.
But KK, when I picked that, we had 5 players, all right? And I didn't think we'll even get 11 players. I thought we'll be getting 2-3 players from the street. But what happened is that Punjab tournament caused a real ruckus because Hardeep and Taif and Fahim all were supposed to play in the Punjab tournament, including Mr. Arjun Ajbani and Ronak U. Patel. But that tournament, instead of starting at 9 o'clock, was starting at 12 o'clock, which meant that those guys...
Yeah, the game started at 9 o'clock. I think their game was at 12 o'clock. So they were able to come and play the game. But however, this week, the game is on Sunday, the FCC versus Spartans. And there's a clear clash with the Mishka game. And I know about the injured players and the folks who are not playing. So you can still switch to Spartans if you would like.
No, at this point, I have to catch up with you. Sometimes to catch up with you, you have to take some risk. And at this point, I think this is an intelligent risk to take. That's the way I
We
feel.
have Nishant with us. So.
Yeah, we have Nishant. You know what? 3 players, Abhilash, who is that? Anil and Aditya Nalan, 3 guys beat the entire Knights team. So I feel that if Mr. Gowda plays and Nishant plays and...
No, this is not Knights. This is not Knights. This is the Spartans.
Yeah, this is Spartans, but I'm hoping that, Mr. Nishant has been leading exceptionally well. He seems to have brought some level-headed ability to think to the rest of the thing. And somehow the player seems to be performing well. If you had asked me if FCC would make the playoffs, I would have said not in a million years, especially after losing Tejas Shategowda and Pana taking sabbatical and losing all those Falcons players. The only addition I saw was you, but all these other guys are performing exceptionally well. So, in fact, we had this discussion earlier whether this is the best FCC team ever, and I feel it is.
That's a hell lot of confidence that you have put in FCC team.
Yeah, but
I want to be very honest. I want the team to make the mistakes now in the league stage so that in playoffs they learn. Every single mistake is an opportunity to learn.
My feeling is Nishant should go and try to see if he can convince Pana to come and play. I think if he can play, he gives you one additional option. But at the same time, Nishant is in the best position to decide whether that will upset the apple cart and things like that. So I don't want to think. But I have used Pana and won Pana Cups. So I know the guy is very capable and he's not somebody who's going to bash the ball like you bash the ball or like Abhishek Penmester bashes the ball. But let's say 5 wickets falls down and he needs to stay at the wicket. He's one of the toughest cookies to get somebody out. The guy will just
hold one. I'm sorry to interrupt this great conversation, but we are going way over time. And I know.
Okay, sorry guys.
We need to end the show. It was great.
Now you know. Parthav, you know who is the biggest culprit for this shows going too long? That was me. I was not there for 3 weeks. The shows were all still finishing in time.
No, but it was great. We need this color. We need this. And it's fine if we go over the show. Time limit as long as we have at least some closure. So
Yeah.
We want to continue this. There's going to be a lot more masala, as I feel, as we come to playoffs, there's going to be more and more drama every week as teams go out and teams come in. So we'll continue that discussion next week. So until then, want to wish everyone good night, and we'll see you next week, same time on Wednesday. See you guys.
Good night, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks.